of the ISS,
Okay.
which is claimed to be 250 miles up. So this is the thing that a lot of people get confused, right? They have in their head that the globe story is that, yeah, it looks flat and motionless to us on the ground, but there's an altitude that you could go as a member of the public and see that it's curved. It's a ball. But that's not their story. Their story is there is no altitude that you or I, as members of the public, can ever go to, or send a balloon to, or any kind of craft to, where we could detect any curvature. They're telling us literally there's no way for us to ever detect curvature ourselves as members of the public, but they can, because they've got this special spaceships which go beyond the sky into a vacuum, and they see that it's a ball.
Okay.
Right, so that's something you need to understand, right? Because that's a huge claim, and you should immediately be skeptical of any claims like that made by anyone, let alone an authority like a government. If they're telling you, hey guys, you can never perceive this, but trust us, this is the case, you should be skeptical of that claim, right?
I mean, I feel like in day-to-day life, it's good to be skeptical of anything, right? So, like...
Exactly. So you should, and this is directly to do with your life, your environment, where you live, your situation.
Sure. Again, like, I don't feel like it's going to be, like, ever so life-changing. Like, I know, I think it was you the other night. I could be wrong. It was somebody with, like, the same accent, possibly. But, and I'm sorry if that's rude. Like, I'm not trying to be rude.
That's all right.
Fucking, they were saying something about, like, if you're being lied to about, like, something like this, like, what else are you being lied to about, like, and sure, like...
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if they can lie to you about base reality.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
That was like the thing. I believe it was you saying.
It could have been. I've said similar things. Sure.
If they can convince you of an absurdity, they can convince you to commit atrocities as well.
Yeah, sure. No, that's absolutely, like, there has been, like, other things the governments have lied about, like, it feeds into other theories, right? And, like, things that have actually happened that have been proven to have happened at, like, years later times.
All right, so you agree with what I was saying, or the sentiment of that statement then? If they're lying to you about where you live,
sure.
Who's to say what else they're lying to you about?
But, like, that's also, like, a determination that it's just
dude, fuck you fucking nigger. You can suck my fucking dick, you fucking loser.
Yeah, please get more upset. Please get more upset.
Fucking punk ass
What
bitch.
the fuck?
Real? Yeah, okay. Hold on.
What did you do
We've
to
got
him?
someone who needs immediate assistance.
Who was
Someone
that?
call 911. We've got a mental breakdown.
It's too bad that he has that kind of behavior in his mind and he's thinking about it's kind of gay.
So see, this is what happens. This is what happens when we start actually speaking about reality. Some people are just so triggered by it that they do kind of shit like that.
Tell me not that was a Globie.
That's a Globie. Of course that's a Globie.
Was it?
100%. He's
no way.
He's on the space cartoons for sure.
He has to be a Globie because you cannot have straight people on a globe because there's no straightness on a globe.
I'm dead.
You can tell by how quickly his mind went to sucking D. Anyway.
Overload, error, overload, danger. I don't know what the fuck to do now.
Anyway, Mastercrust. Where were we?
Like, I'm not to be like a shill or whatever, like fucking whatever you were saying about that, like, not you, flattened destruction or whatever, but, like, I'm just trying to understand. Like, that's purely, like, what I'm doing here. I just like to kind of...
Yeah, don't pay attention to guys who are clearly emotionally triggered by the topic and their whole name and profile and everything about them is about destroying flat Earth. It's like, yeah, they're obviously just triggered, so they're not going to give you any kind of coherent, rational discourse. And I know you're not being a shill, you're just being an honest, curious person, as you should be. But this is a good example of what other globe believers who are triggered will try and do. They'll try and dissuade you from asking these questions, from thinking for yourself.
Your perspective a little bit, where you're like, okay, like the government lies, right? And they do. Like if you're talking about like the U.S. government or like any government, really, like they're not going to give you facts about like anything.
Yeah, where are you going to go? You're going to go to the Russians or the Chinese? Like, come on, you don't think they all lie?
No, absolutely. Like it's a part of having a society at this point in time, and
right? Which is why the whole thing is when they're telling us that we can never go and see what it is that they're claiming, it would be not only unreasonable, it would be foolish to accept that based on their claims, based on their images, that anyone could fake. Which is why you have to go out into reality and test it.
So, like, it's just, there are certain, like, things, right? Like, it's not just on a government, like, level that they, from what I understand, have done.
Yeah, that's because that's what they teach us, though, but it's not the case. When you actually look, that is all there is. The only quote-unquote direct evidence, because of what I just said, right? Their story is there's no way for us to evidence this, essentially, directly. Right? They'll tell us you can infer it from things like, oh, the sun appears to set, so it must be going around a curve. The boat's appearing to disappear bottom up. Like, those are the only kind of arguments they've got. And you've already figured out that the horizon's optical, not physical. So there goes those arguments. So no, they're not claiming that there's anything else accessible to us except their stories. But at school, they give us this impression, and the media gives us this impression, oh, it was proven thousands of years ago, you don't need to worry about it, don't look into it, it's already proven, dog. Then you start speaking to people like us, and you're like, shit, I don't know how to prove it. No one actually gave me any evidence.
Right. But like, there's other things that you have to account for. Like, again, I'm going to bring up the planets again, because, like, I can look through a telescope and see, like, the other planets in the sky, and, like, they do have, like, a spherical shape, right? Like, they have...
Well, even then, you need to be thinking very strictly, right? We do not actually observe spheres, per se. To actually confirm if they were a sphere, you would have to travel to them and around them, if you could even do that, to know what a 3D shape they might have, right? Because a telescope is a monocular, so it's one lens. So you're not getting 3D images out of that. You're just getting 2D, and you're seeing a 2D blob of light, essentially, right? You don't know what that is. So, no, it's not the case that we can just say those are spheres. And even if they were, right, it doesn't necessarily mean that we are standing on one any more than it would mean if I look into my bedroom ceiling and I've got a spherical light bulb hanging from the ceiling. That doesn't mean that I should assume that my floor is spherical, does it? So it's not even logical. But it's like if you go into a forest and all you see is trees, should you assume you're a tree? If you park in a car park and look around and see cars everywhere, are you a car?
I wouldn't, like they're, no, like that's nonsense.
Yeah, so it's illogical. So to look at the lights in the sky and assume that we're a light in the sky is equally nonsensical. Doesn't follow. It's non sequitur. So yeah, we can consider these things for sure, and humans have done since time began. I mean, the ancients have known about the luminaries. They've tracked their motions and predicted eclipses and all of this for thousands of years. The word planet comes from the old Greek planete, or however you want to say it, and it just means wanderer. It means wandering star. Basically, they were just referring to them as stars that moved out with the constellations. Another triggered one. That's good. They're rolling in now. So,
how does gravity equate into like the from what you perceive, right? Like, how does that like affect your
Well, gravity is just the story. Gravity is just a story that they had to give us because they had to come up with some idea for how we could be stuck to the side of a spinning ball.
Real quick, Cyclone. You mentioned the planets and everything. I just want to make a separation between the celestials and whatever, the planets and the luminaries that you mentioned. And there's the ground, Earth, or what people call Terra. Terra. That's not the sky. So when people want to say, "Oh, the Earth is a planet," no, the celestials are the celestials. Things in the sky are things in the sky, and the Earth, Terra, is on the floor, not in the sky. So there's a difference between those things. Go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, no, exactly. That's a good point. Just to underline what I was saying there, it's they're separated linguistically for a reason. Celestial, terrestrial. Terrestrial is us, the ground. Celestial are the luminaries, which is basically like just a giant sky clock, as far as we use them for, and for navigation. But they just, give us, the sun gives us the days and the nights, the moon gives us the months, and the stars gives us the year, the seasons. So we know when to plant, harvest, all this kind of thing. So they're just part of the system that we're in. They're not like other places to go to, if you ask me. But you're asking about gravity, yeah. They have to give us a story for being attached to a spinning ball, right? But in reality, all that we're really detecting is that things are ordering themselves vertically, up or down, based on their density versus the medium that they're in, density. So it's Archimedes' principle or specific gravity. You could look up those two things, and that would give you an idea of what we're talking about. See, we don't need a force being like pulling us into the center or bending and warping space-time, causing an uneven distribution of mass or any of these other fantasy concepts, because we just have a definite up and down, right? We've got a level surface with a definite up and down. So where you are and your up and down is the same up and down that a guy in Australia has. Yeah, and things are just ordering themselves and finding equilibrium based on their density versus the medium they're in. So you could drop a ping pong ball in the air, right? And it's more dense than the air. So let me take it a different way, actually. So I'm sure you already understand it, but think about a helium balloon. We let go of a helium balloon. It doesn't go down, does it?
Well, no, because that's gas. That's a less dense gas.
It's less dense than the air, right? So what would happen if we were to drop an object that was more dense than air?
It falls to the ground, obviously.
Yeah, so that's basically what we can observe and measure. But that's perfectly fine on just a flat surface.
Right, but I mean, like, there still has to be, like, some sort of, like, property that's, like, but, like, there has to be something that's pulling it to the ground. Like, that's big.
Well, what's pulling the helium to the ground?
Nothing. It's a gas.
Nothing.
Like, it has
so nothing's pulling that to the ground. So there's not something pulling everything to the ground, observably. We just have a system with a directionality, an up and a down, a definite up and a down, and things order themselves based on their density relative to the medium. Have you ever seen a density tower in like a physics class where they've got all the different liquids like water, oil, Someone can post a picture in the chat. Are you looking at the side chat attached to this VC?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm sure someone will post an image of a density tower, or you can just Google density tower, and you can see the objects just rest in equilibrium based on their density relative to the medium that they're in, and they order themselves. They'll move to find that equilibrium, whether it's a rock falling to the ground or helium going up. But on the globe side, they have to come up with this story of how we're being pulled into this spinning ball, because otherwise you would think, you just go flying off. But no, you need some kind of pulling to the center of a ball force or non-force, whatever they want to call it. But you don't need that, because we're not on a ball.
But objects accelerate down at the same rate, regardless of the density.
You sure about that?
Yeah.
You ever heard of the Bremen drop tower?
No.
You should look into it. Someone can post it in the side chat. Because that showed that the elements were not falling at the same speed in a vacuum. But regardless, you could have everything falling at the same speed. Wouldn't matter to me. They're falling on a flat surface.
It's because of gravity.
So it's because of gravity that we've got a flat surface.
No, it's because of gravity. They fall at the same speed. Density
Well, you can think whatever you like about why things rise and fall, as long as you understand they're rising and falling above a flat surface. But Archimedes' principle explains it. Okay, well, in that case, just show me who's measured it to be not flat and curved.
Well, if density were the sole reason for objects falling, would that be right?
Well, no, because you said you disagree with that, and I said that's fine. Just show me where it's a ball then.
I said they fall at the same rate. You said density is the reason why objects fall.
I said look at the Bremen drop tower experiment.
Okay, well, I haven't seen that right now, but is density the reason? Okay.
It's in the text chat.
How'd I get? Let me get it. Where is it?
He's posted it in the chat. Video? So, yeah, I guess he's. Drace, are you there? Did you post it yourself?
You can see it. Rupert Sheldrake interviews the guy who did the drop tests, and there's a GIF taken from his drop test a little bit above that.
Yeah, so you can go and watch that. And I'm going to see if Mastercrust was understanding what I was saying there. So do you understand that, Mastercrust?
Okay. Well,
I'm sorry. I was watching the video.
Oh, that's all right. You want to watch the video? You watch the video as well. Enjoy.
I'm not going to watch that right now because I'm having some lag. But
that's all right.
I would just like to ask a quick question. So you think density is the sole reason why objects fall?
No, I'm saying that's what we can observe. That's what we can prove. We can show a directionality change if we change the medium. So that density medium relationship is apparent to us. Now, I'm not saying that's a quote unquote cause of directionality. The cause of directionality you couldn't experiment on to really define because you can't turn it on and off. You can't manipulate it. It's like a passive effect. It's just present. It's just part of what our experience of reality is. But I don't need to make a claim about that. And I mean, a claim about that being the bending and warping of space-time is obviously just a fantasy concept. So that doesn't get us anywhere. And you can watch videos of academics on the globe side, Neil deGrasse Tyson, Michio Kaku, talking about how they don't know what gravity is. They can't really define a directionality. So the whole question of what's the exact cause is a very deep and almost philosophical one because you can't manipulate it to do any science on it. Just, it's always there.
That's all right. I'm gonna leave to let the guy talk to watch the video.
All right. No worries. Did you watch the video, Mastercrust? He's maybe still watching it. It's all right. Who else we got in here?
No, I'm back. I watched it.
Oh.
It was just basically saying that gravity isn't like they're saying that the theory is it's proton and neutrons that affect gravity. Correct?
Yeah, he's proposing that it's not mass, but rather the protons and neutrons within the atoms that are the cause, and and he's seeing a difference in the drop of different materials. But another way you can look at it is the only thing they're manipulating when they're dropping things in a vacuum is the medium. They just made the medium less dense than both of the things they're dropping, so now they require an even longer drop to register a difference between them. If we do the inverse and increase the density of the medium that we're dropping the things through, they'll drop slower and slower, and the difference between them will become more and more apparent. So it's just a flawed test, in my opinion.
But as well, just think about it in terms of what we were speaking about earlier, in terms of our perspective. I mean, again, all ancient cultures understood relative density and Archimedes' principles. I say all, perhaps not all, but a good number of them. It's nothing new. And what we're actually detecting is just dropping an object, right? So if you just think logically about it, dropping an object to the ground or seeing an object rise doesn't tell you anything about the shape of the surface that we're on, unless you come up with a story around that, which is what they've done with the globe. Because at the end of the day, you have to think what they're actually trying to argue here for a globe is that because I drop a rock on the ground, this means that I can assume that all matter is coalescing into balls by some force that we'll call gravity. And therefore it makes sense that all the matter coming from the Big Bang and spreading out into the universe would have coalesced into balls. But you understand, as soon as you've gone beyond dropping the rock, you're just in conceptual fairy tale land, right? None of that's observable, empirical, scientific. No one actually observes matter forming into balls due to gravity. It's a fantasy.
I am kind of picking up what you're putting down, in the sense of like you're talking about like how, right, let's say quote unquote the Earth was formed, right? Like with the fucking buildup of gas and fucking
the story about everything just pulling into a ball, basically.
Yeah. All right. So now
that's the root of the whole thing, right? That's the origin story. That's the glue that keeps this entire story that they've taught us together. And it's purely conceptual. Purely conceptual. They've jumped from the observable, dropping a rock, to this grand universal theory about matter coalescing into balls.
Well,
But none of that's true.
What? Go ahead. What were you saying?
So I'm saying, like, the whole flat Earth thing debunks that whole notion as well, empirically, because the surface is measuring flat, so it wasn't formed into a ball via gravity. So it debunks the entire creation story that they've given us about this Earth.
Okay. I got another question then. Like, what is your take on like? Don't take this as me being rude again. Like, just trying to like understand so that like I have a more grand idea of what it is that like we're speaking on, right?
Right.
What is your like take on like dinosaurs and shit like that, like with the mass extinction and stuff, right?
Yeah, no, that's all globe nonsense. So the whole globe narrative, when you start to think about it, all of that narrative, our historical narrative beyond the last, let's say, 10,000 years, recorded civilizations, that's just globy stuff, right? So when you look into geology and the age of the Earth, you'd be thinking, well, how did they get to the age of the Earth? Do you know how old they say the Earth is?
Like 3 billion something. I don't know.
Let's say like billions of years old, right?
Yeah.
But it was only posed in like the 1800s that it's actually over 1 million years old, like millions of years, and this was just theorized by a guy kind of walking around Scotland looking at the rocks And he's just kind of created this old Earth theory out of his imagination. And then it started to be built on as a theory, and then it just slowly was drilled into people's heads enough to the point where it just, anything at this point they can say. But yeah, now they say it's billions of years old. But all of that comes from the Big Bang cosmology, right? Which is the globe cosmology, which includes evolution for billions of years, asteroids from space coming and wiping out dinosaurs. All of that is out the window.
So what you're saying is, if there were dinosaurs?
Actually, like Jurassic Park dinosaurs? No, that's all Hollywood.
Well, like,
you look into the history of paleontology. That's almost as bad as the globe.
Well, yes, absolutely. I mean, if we're going based off of Jurassic Park, like those dinosaurs that were...
No, I'm not. I mean, not just Jurassic Park. I'm talking like the Royal Society, like the bedrock of mainstream science now and back in the day, hundreds of years ago. These guys were just speculating, and then there was this thing called the Bone Wars, which you should look into. Where a bunch of guys... You familiar with that?
Slightly familiar with like the Bone Wars thing, and with like the paleontology thing. Like, yes, absolutely. Like, they were just slapping bones together at a certain point in time.
Slapping bones together, exactly. So these guys theorized these giant lizards, and then lo and behold, within their lifetimes, out of nowhere, no civilizations previously had been telling stories about these things, but then out of nowhere, in their lifetimes, they're just going and finding hundreds of apparent specimens that they're then just drawing cartoons of and being like, it looked like this. And of course, loads were found to be fraud, but they were still lauded and praised and basically accepted by the community at the time, because there's a vested interest in pursuing this narrative and pushing this narrative on people. But no, there's like, you find fragments of bones and then you imagine a giant lizard and you draw it and then you make a model of it. So no, it's not science.
I get... somebody else was trying to speak, or what?
Sorry. No, go ahead.
So, again, literally just want to paraphrase, not trying to be a dick in any way, shape, or form. I just understand. That's purely where I'm at.
No, that's fine. It doesn't offend me, because I used to believe in all this stuff too.
Where I'm at with it, right? Like, of course, like, I understand, paleontology, when like it started, when, we were going through like these stages of like finding shit and whatever, they were slapping bones together. I don't disagree with you there. That was a genuine thing.
They never found anything.
Even then,
the story goes. I mean, as I read the history, because one of the things I looked into, the story goes is that there was a bone somewhere, right, in somewhere in England, and the lady called it a dinosaura or something like that, but which is meant to be a big bird or something. Then all of a sudden it disappeared. Some guy. It was a drawing that they took, and they called it. I forgot the name of the actual dinosaur. They called it Megalodon. I don't remember what it's called. But after that, after years of never finding anything, two American men, decided to go look, and it was like 1860 something or 85 or 35. That's when they did the Bone Wars, and they found 122 species in the Rocky Mountains or somewhere like that. So it was years of paleontology with all this supposedly theories, never backed up anything until these two American men decided to find a bunch of shit.
Yeah, well, I mean, the whole field of digging up bones and then theorizing grand stories about them from the past is ubiquitous in mainstream modern, I would want to say science or academia, but yeah, both, I guess. I mean, think about Piltdown Man, right? That was taught in textbooks for decades, right? So generations have been brought up to believe that, they found this half-ape, half-man creature that proved evolution, all this, and then it was shown to be a fake. It was like some guy stuck a pig jaw and a monkey skull together, and they taught it to kids for like 50, 60 years. And you bet, when they did the revision, they didn't come out and go like, oh, by the way, when we spoke about the Piltdown Man, that was a fraud. No. They don't come out and tell people.
Cyclone, are you going to allow a dissenting view to actually be heard or not?
Yeah, of course. But I'm speaking to this guy, and he's wanting information. He's not here just to be a triggered fundamentalist religious zealot like you are.
No,
so of course
there's
we're
no
going to speak to
triggering.
this guy. So of course
It's
we're going
the
to speak
fact
to
that
this
you
guy.
interrupt. That's the only thing.
Oh, that's ironic, since that's
It is
exactly what
ironic.
you're doing.
I
Just
didn't
put
get to
yourself on
finish
mute,
the
dude.
sentence. You're doing
You
it
can
now.
just hang about. You hang about. You'll get your turn.
All right, how about this? I'll wait for the message or DM when it's my turn. I don't need to sit here and listen to all
We'll
this
ping you.
lying.
Yeah, who forced you in here, dude? You joined of your own
I
accord.
didn't imply that there's force. I'm just saying you're just wasting time. You're just stalling. That's all.
Dude, just put yourself on mute, and when we need a fluffer for the Glowbirds, we'll call you up. We'll call you up when it dries up. Yeah. Jeez, they're so triggered. They're so triggered. They hate us and they love us at the same time. They want to be here, but they don't want to be here.
I can't lie. I was, interested in whatever he had to say. Like I said,
He doesn't have anything to say. He's just a triggered. Listen, we've got these guys who follow us for years, and they just come in every channel that we're in, and they just spaz out. They can't present any measurements. They can't present any observations. They just do that kind of shit. Because they don't want you. They don't want an honest person who's actually curious and wants to hear our side. They don't want you to hear our side. That's what they hate the most. So you continue.
All right, so I did want to circle back on a couple of things because I believe you said something about what was it? Sorry, give me.
That's all right.
About fuck, dude, lost my track.
Yeah, we were talking about the dinosaurs, and then we were talking about the fossils, and we're talking about the Piltdown Man. Pseudoscience. We're talking about pseudoscience, basically. Or the age of the Earth.
That's what I wanted to touch base on. You said something along the lines of there was no civilization that had any interaction or stories of dinosaurs or whatever, right?
Pretty much. I mean, they had dragons, but that was kind of it. Maybe the odd creature, but certainly nothing like the dinosaur stories or varieties that we're told about today.
Right. Well, that was something I wanted to touch base on because it was there wasn't really any human society at that point in time.
No, I just mean in recorded civilization. You could say, well, it was just so remote back then, but I mean, people would have been digging up bones of stuff for as long as this time has been going on as well. So,
yeah, no, I mean, sure, I'll give you that. Let's say
you don't think a king would have a giant skull of a dinosaur near his throne if he could?
Yeah, have a big T-Rex head hanging out in your hallway. Think about it.
I mean, yeah, sure. In the sense of dudes being guys, I guess. Of course, I'd want an ass fucking T-Rex.
They just spoke about dragons. They were into dragons and shit.
Yeah, so and that's kind of my point. What if they did find something along those lines, and that's where that analogy came from? Because we have
maybe that idea of the giant lizards. Because I mean, that's what they were basically saying in the beginning. They said, "Oh, they're giant lizards." Well, that's not too different from what the idea of a dragon is. I mean, in terms of T-Rexes, tiny arms, and Stegosauruses, and all this, then that's just bullshit.
Yeah, the first bone, the person that had it thought it was a large human. Then the supposed paleontologist then said, "Oh no, this is a megalosaurus," because of a drawing of the bone. Not because he saw, not because he tested it or anything like that.
Yeah, the field is just so replete with frauds and examples of fakery that you just can't trust anything from it anyway. There's whole industries of making fake bones. Sorry.
Mm-hmm. No, you're good. I understand what you're saying, and my point is in that same sense with paleontology being so fucky in the beginning, right? We didn't even understand what the fuck we were looking at. We were just putting shit together and being "Oh, this is what this is," and lo and behold,
still what they do.
Right.
What they do.
And what was crazy, it wasn't even some random people. It was the people that were studying supposedly that
It was the people who stood to actually make money off of it just coincidentally happened to be the only guys who were finding any of this shit.
Yeah, and coincidentally, they were both of them were rich. The one that started the bone wars in the 19th century, actually.
So, what is your guys' take on like carbon dating at that point?
It's built on assumptions.
Yeah, it's another pseudoscience, I would say. I mean, I'm definitely no expert on carbon dating, but I mean, there's assumptions built in, like the carbon decay rate, and just assuming that it would never change. And you've got loads of examples of things where they've just dated things that are just absurd, like snails being 30,000 years old and all this kind of stuff.
And then this is one of the things that what happens is if the carbon dating doesn't agree with them, they're just whatever. It isn't.
Yeah, we did it wrong. This is a messy sample, something like that. Like in the mainstream academia, I'm sure there's a load of papers challenging the validity and the accuracy of carbon dating. So it's by no means an accepted hard science. It's like a pseudoscience again. So this is how they dress things up nowadays to make the globe seem credible. And 99.9% of people are just like, yeah, I guess someone's figuring something out. It must be correct, or someone would have said it's bullshit. But amazingly, here we are.
Right. Yes, I get what you're saying, but like, you know, we're able to carbon date like human bones, right? And say like, oh, this is a person that existed back from like Mesopotamia or some shit, right? So like, if we're able to do that with like the same, you know, idea and the same like facet again,
because I think there's the dinosaur bones and that are said to be so old that they're not even actual bone anymore, right? They're fossils. They're just like replaced in the shape of the bone. Whereas if you're talking about like organic tissue, it's a different thing.
So what they say after like anything can be accurate between now and 10,000 years, right? But anything over that, it's really a stretch, according to the what they say about carbon dating.
That's accurate. That's like they have that on like fucking some website or some shit.
Yeah, let me find it.
I'm not saying that like everything is on the internet is like true or whatever. I'm like, you know, curious.
This is it, but this is the process, because now you just have to be ultra skeptical and be like, right, so this is what they're telling me. Are they actually showing me evidence? Is the evidence something I can even evaluate?
Right.
Have I evaluated it? This is the level of empiricism you need to be on to understand the empirical natural world. But they don't train us at school to think like this.
Does your like belief in like again, like I don't like saying it like this because I'm not trying to be condescending in any way, right? Does your belief in like Earth like lead you to like have religion in that way? Like, do you believe like?
Well, firstly, I wouldn't characterize it as a belief, because it's just what every human being experiences in reality, a flat motionless surface. So that's not a belief. That's just. I know. I'm not saying you are. I'm just saying it's an important distinction for you to have in your mind, because your mind is naturally defaulting to thinking that this is some kind of conspiracy theory where we're just rejecting modernity or something. But in reality, it's just base reality, right? It's what we all experience. So that's not a belief. But yeah, it does lead you to the understanding that the environment we're in could not have come about by some natural or accidental process, Big Bang, like they've given us. It had to have been intelligently created. Now, what the nature of that creator or creators is, however you want to think about it, that's your own journey. But it's clear that it's a created environment. Yeah, that's why this whole thing is so controversial, right? Because it's speaking to the biggest question in human history, essentially, right? That nature of the origin.
You know, like you get these people that like that have way more money than me and probably have like fucking 20 times the schooling as me, right? That like are. You know, they have these theories of like, oh, it might be a simulation, whatever.
See, even that's a trained mindset, right? This idea that you are not in a position to understand your natural world. That's not true. That's just a concept or an idea that is convenient to those who don't want us to understand where we are. You can figure it out.
Same way that you perceive the natural world when you walk out and go to your car and drive to work, right? Like, it's the same way that I perceive it in the sense
just
of like
that. Not just like that. You can go into more detail than that, right? You can actually. Someone stop mic in. Someone mute this guy.
OKC winning, but what y'all?
Thank you.
See what? No, but
just another guy making noise.
Like there's no way I'm gonna get up in one of those like fucking
No, but remember, I explained to you earlier that you don't need to do that. You can go to the beach and test your horizon distance for one. Right. So you don't need to go to space to know whether or not they've lied to you. You can go to the beach. It's a nice day out.
For you, maybe it's a nice day out. It's fucking shitty over here. But like, I get what you're saying.
Go to a nice lake or something.
Right. It for me, it really falls on like a perception type of thing, right? Like, because me personally, like my eyesight is shitty, and even if I use a telescope, like I don't really think it's gonna like do much for me. But like for you, like if you went to a beach,
no. It's not like we're both looking at something in the distance. You think it's blue, I think it's purple. It's not that kind of thing. It's like a measurement thing. It's like, how tall are you? Well, let's measure it. It's like, what about this table? What size is this table? We measure it. It's not a question of perspective after that. We measure it.
But again, like I'd be seeing those oil rig pictures that you guys post a lot. The fucking
Yeah, the one that shows that the horizon isn't the curve of a ball.
Like I can't remember where it's located. I know somebody posted all that shit.
Coast of California.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, for me, right, like distance, when you come to a position where like it's hard to gauge, like you can tell, like you have the figures, right, where the oil rig is located in unison to that closer oil rig, right?
Yeah.
And then you're pinpointing where the horizon is based off of the further oil rig, correct?
Well, just any distance marker. Yeah.
Okay. So, like, that's where it becomes, like, a hard thing to gauge for me, right? Because, like, I can be in a field somewhere and, like, one of my buddies is like, oh, there's somebody coming up on us from, like, 50 meters away. That could be a different determination for me. Like, I'll still know, oh, that man's far out, right? Like, I can see him over there.
Right, but when you're talking about being on land or in a field, you have topography to deal with. That's why we recommend doing this over a body of water, right? Because then you don't have to worry about topography because there's no hills and valleys and water. It's just a level surface, right? So if you're at one side of a lake that's 10 miles wide and you've got a friend on the other side of the lake, there's supposed to be curve between you, from you to him, to the tune of about 66 feet. Right, like a 4-story building. Right, so you shouldn't be able to see your friend on the other side of that lake because he should be below the curve. You understand that?
Like, vaguely, ever so vaguely. Like, I understand that you're trying to tell me that, like, the lake obviously is like a grand distance, okay? And
yeah, so at that distance, remember when we were the ants on the basketball?
Right.
I've gone around the curve, and I'm on the other side of that curve, so now you can't see me because I'm below a curve. You picture that?
Yes.
So that's what it's supposed to be with you and your friend across this 10-mile lake, according to the globe, geometrically.
So
understand that?
So what you're saying is like it is by like their standards, right? Let's say
by their geometry, I'm the ant on the other side of that curve.
So if you're 10 miles out from me, that's where like the curve should start?
No, but that's where there's a 66 foot of drop. The curve starts immediately.
Okay.
And it's going at about 8 inches per mile squared, is what they're telling us. Right, so it's at 10 miles. That's over 66 feet, 66.6 feet, funnily enough.
Okay.
And so that
My
means
question-
I'm on the other side of this curve, yeah? So the question is, would you be able to see your friend if you took out a pair of binoculars or a telescope?
You should be able to, yes.
No, I'm supposed to be on the other side of this curve of the basketball, remember?
No, I'm saying you should be able to see a curve. No curve. Excuse me. You're supposed. Listen, we're supposed to hate the Muslims today, but they're using
Oh, you're
technology.
another spiraling guy. You're another spiraling guy.
What?
So, Mastercrust. You get that?
Yeah, damn you.
You shouldn't be able to see your friend on the other side of the lake. All right. So if you go down there and you do that and you do see your friend, then you've just shown that there's no curvature there. You understand?
Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying. Like,
So that's a very practical thing that you could do, and it wouldn't leave anything to your perspective. It would just be, there he is. No curve. It's just flat from you to him.
All right, this is something from West Texas A&M University. I'm just posting.
Well, let me just make sure that we're tying this off before we go back. So, yeah, it's not a question of opinion, really. We can go out and empirically test this. And if there's no curvature there, what does that mean?
I'd assume that the Earth is flat, right? Like, I understand where y'all are coming from with this. Like,
well, it at least means we only have evidence for flat.
Right. Well, that's my point, right? Like, everything is like essentially like a theory. Like, it's the big thing that you guys say. Like, give me the empirical proof that the Earth is a globe, right? And so, like, I understand, like, y'all are able to, like, everybody, I guess, is able to go out and, you know, this thing that you're explaining.
Yeah, you can prove to yourself that the Earth isn't the ball that they've told us.
Right. But then
which is a big deal because they're teaching it to all the kids in school as if it's 100% fact. They're spending loads of our money on this instead of feeding people, getting clean water to people, fixing society, infrastructure. They're telling us a false narrative about where we live. It's a big deal.
You believe that they're also like putting money into this?
Well, yeah, your education system teaches this. NASA take $80 million a day for cartoons. Think about, I'm sure the education and the health system could do with $80 million a day.
You said 18 or 80?
I said 80.
Oh, 80. Okay.
No, I mean, like, I understand where you're coming from. Like, that's not something that's new within, like, the U.S. government, right? Like, I think it was earlier this year or, like, last year, they, the Army, right? Like, they provide this thing called BAS, which is, like, basic allowance for subsistence. And, like, that's your money that you get for using the dining facilities. And, they were taking that money, like some certain bases were taking like almost like $1.5 million, that money that's supposed to be used for like feeding the soldiers and stuff for their dining facilities, for like better food and like, you know, better dining arrangements. And they were using that money for, you know, other things. I don't know what they were using it for, but they weren't using it for like the dining facilities. So, yeah, I'm well aware like the government, even the U.S. government, my government, like that money.
So yeah, you're just asking the broad question: is the money going? Is there money being put toward this? Yes, there's an extremely large amount of money going towards convincing you that you live on a big spinning ball, convincing everyone that we live on this big spinning ball. Just think about the media, movies. There's a globe at the start of nearly every bloody film.
Right. And like I know that whole thing from like the 50s or whenever the fuck the moon landing was. I can't remember what year it was supposed to be or whatever.
69 was when the first one was supposed to have been, but it obviously didn't happen. It's just
Well, but-
propaganda.
Oh, right, like where they were like, oh, it's all this other shit, but like, I do, like, me personally, like, I don't believe that was like necessarily like real, because in that point in time we were in a very like heavy state of arms against Russia, and like it was like our mission, like as a
Yeah, it was just propaganda trying to prove technological superiority. It's just propaganda. That's all it was, and that's all the globe is.
So
I
like,
mean, if they're lying about that, it shouldn't be much of a stretch or a surprise to hear that they've lied about the nature of what we're on.
Okay. No, like I said, like it's very much how you guys are like convince me that I'm on a globe. You know what I'm saying? And you know, I just kind of want to understand like the perspectives of it all. Like, I want to know.
Right. That's fair enough. I'm not saying you don't have to convince anyone. I mean, you should only be interested in figuring out what you can figure out for yourself and going from there. Anyway, it's been good to talk to you, bro. You've been nice and chill. Thank you for that. I'm going to dip off and go on listen mode for a while. So is there anyone else, FE side, who can pick this up? Who we got?
I mean, either way, you've given me a lot to think about, so I'll, take a step back.
Yeah, here, before you go, let me send you a link to our server where there's resources if you want to research in your own time, because you won't find good resources just looking on YouTube and Google. They'll just send you bullshit. So we save a lot of the good information so that you can actually research in your own time. It's all alphabetized and categorized by subject. So join that server that I've just sent you and take some time to look through the resources. Would be my recommendation. So you have a good night, bro.
You too, man.
Something like that.
Say it just from off square.
You can't see it on ground level because
how the fuck do you know what's
visibility
happening?
is never that good.
How do you know it's happening if you can't see it?
You have to be because I believe in science and in.
You believe?
Yeah.
So it's sort of like a religion.
Well, I mean, unless you have some better way of explaining everything else.
Well, yeah. How about I don't know, just observing your reality?
By observing my reality, I'm seeing gravity working. I'm seeing fucking all that stuff.
Sorry, that retard cut you off. What did you say?
Yeah, I'm saying by observing what's around me, I'm seeing gravity working. This Red Bull bottle I have is not floating off my desk.
Gravity's working. What's gravity?
It is a wait, let me find you a link real quick. Do you know?
You don't know. You just said this thing is doing something, but you don't know what it is.
No, it's a the Earth has a mass, and it is pulling in. It's a force that because of fucking what?
Well, okay, so you've got the ball Earth just loaded in then to the premise. You've already just assumed that the Earth is a ball with a mass and it's doing this thing.
You can look at anything in your room. Everything has a gravitational pull. If it has a mass,
so the way you're talking about it, it sounds like you're talking about a mass. So obviously, you're just sort of imagining the ball Earth pulling things inward to it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, you're just assuming the globe. That's all you're doing.
Yeah, I'm assuming the globe because nothing else really makes sense to me. I don't see how it could be a flat Earth. I just don't believe that we are the center, the geocenter of everything.
Why are you going so far into the sauce, dude? So, nothing else makes sense to you. I mean,
no.
Water, that's horizontal and level, right? Obviously.
Yeah, because gravity's pulling.
Okay, it doesn't matter why. You want to say it's because of gravity, great. Thanks for giving gravity to the flat Earth. That's fine. I'll take it if you want. But it doesn't make much sense that it would be a ball if the surface is generally level and horizontal, does it?
Well, I mean, it is not level. You can't just draw a line.
Well, we just did this a second ago, and you said that it looks like it's level. You just can't
Yeah, it
tell that
looks
it's
like it
actually
because it
curved.
drops off. Because it drops off so little that you can't see it at ground level.
All right, I'll ask again then. So how do you know that's happening then?
Well, I just believe that what I've read because it comes from sources that I find to be reliable.
We're just having the same conversation over and over again now because you said that not 2 minutes ago. You just believe it.
But you asked me the same question twice.
Well, I mean, we just looped back here. I guess we could have just ended there. Okay, you believe it. Fine. There's no evidence for it. It's just a belief you have. Fair enough.
But what's the evidence for flat Earth?
Just told you. Water seeks its level.
That it's flat. Yeah, but that's it.
That's all you need.
Have you? I'm pretty sure that someone did a YouTube video on this as well, where they pointed like a laser through some to point everything was level, and it wasn't.
Are you pretty sure?
I am.
Totally sure?
Yeah, I know it's out there. I just don't know what it's called.
You're totally sure?
I'm totally sure.
Okay, so it went from pretty to totally pretty fast. Who did that?
Well, I don't remember. I was thinking you were gonna ask me for the video, and I have to find it. I'll find it. Disproving flat Earth.
Okay, you're pretty sure it's out there. Actually, totally sure. That the disproof of your own experience of reality exists. Although you couldn't tell me what it is right now if you had to. But you're pretty, maybe totally sure it's there.
I'm trying to find it right now.
Yeah. You gotta go Google the proof of what you already believe and accept to be true.
Yeah. Just as you do with
You kind of did that backwards. No, I didn't. I first came to know water, and then I reached my conclusions. I didn't reach a conclusion and then go, okay, just let me Google the proof for that real quick. But I know it's true already.
I think it might be this one. Nope.
Well, why are you doing everything backwards, dude? I mean, at this point, it's basically been demonstrated that you have a religious belief. I mean, we could just leave it at that.
I'm not really religious. Does the Bible state that or whatever else you think I am, state
It's
that
the globe that is your religion.
Uh-huh.
You believe it without evidence. You have to Google the evidence right now. You claim that your senses... Yeah, you claim that your senses show you a flat Earth, but you know that that's not real because you've got this belief that goes contrary to it, and you got to go find the evidence for it now. So, I mean, you just have a blind belief, dude.
Well, I mean, I get what you mean, because sometimes when I look out, when I'm at like by an ocean and I look out, it seems like it's very flat.
Of course, it is.
Yeah, because the Earth is very, very big.
Oh yeah, how big?
I don't wait. Let me Google the radius.
I don't know anything about this, dude.
Radius.
Why would you do? They're doing the pre-Google vocalization thing again. Why you shouldn't say things that you don't know to be true and then go Google to see whether it's true.
Right, yo, is the Earth small? It's pretty big compared to us. I can say
it's
that.
It's really, really big. And we say, okay, how big? You're like, well, I don't know.
I don't know the exact. Do you expect me to have the number memorized?
Yes, I do. I do expect you to know.
You don't know what exactly should be expected of the geometry since you don't actually know what size it's supposed to be.
Yeah, I don't know off the top of my head, but I can get that information.
And don't say it's big or small or anything if you don't know the size.
So how would you know that you shouldn't be able to tell it's a ball because you don't even know how big the ball is actually supposed to be?
What?
You don't know how big it's supposed to be.
You can look. You can look at a bowl and see this is round, but not know the radius
what it should look like. Because you don't even know what it's supposed to be.
I think that's a pretty stupid argument because I'm sitting here, I'm looking at this bowl.
It's stupid to say things.
I can see it's pretty small compared to me, but I don't know the fucking radius of it. I could measure it and then figure it out, but I mean, it's not really relevant.
If somebody gave you the radius of the moon, the claimed radius of the moon, and told you that was the radius of Earth, you'd probably just believe that.
True.
Probably not. Wait,
Yeah.
no, I don't think I would.
Yeah, you would.
I think it's a little bit too small.
Yeah, you would. You don't. He's
Okay.
gonna say too small. What's the radius of it?
The radius is 1,000 miles. How about that?
1,737.
Okay, see, there he goes. Oh, he's looking up the radius of the moon.
Yeah.
Shouldn't have given that
I'm
one
looking
away.
it up.
I should have actually just told him that was the radius of the Earth before he had a chance to do that.
I know. Yeah, he'd be like, yeah. Dude.
Okay. Wait. So I gotta understand as well. So every other planet is round, but Earth is not.
Well, you're
Or
making the
is this
assumption
true?
that the Earth is a planet, dude.
Right, Earth is not a planet. Are
Nope.
the things in the sky, are they planets and stars?
Well, sure. Yeah, absolutely. The word planet was used to describe those things that are planets, which move separately from the constellations, the stars. So absolutely, those are planets. But why would I think that the Earth is one of those?
This is a very alien theory to me. Oh, it's Jedi.
Well,
It's,
I mean, just take what you're given. Just look at what it is. You've got these lights in the sky, the planets. They don't move with the constellations, and that's how they were distinguished from the stars in the first place, and why they were actually called planets in the first place. What
Sure.
do you see in them that is similar to the Earth?
Well, the surface on the moon, for example, is rocky. We have rocky surfaces on Earth too. But yeah, I can't look. I can't go outside of Earth and look at it myself.
The moon's not a planet, is it?
What?
We're trying to figure out why you think the Earth is a planet, so let's stick to planets, not the moon.
Well, I think the Earth is a planet because that's the only thing that makes sense to me.
Why?
You keep saying that.
I'm asking you what
Because
similarities there are between
all
planets and the Earth.
all studies ever done that is remotely creditable have shown that the Earth is round.
You're not saying anything, dude. You're not saying anything.
Yes, I am. I just answered your question.
Name one study. Name one study.
Do you expect me to have names of studies? You can go look at NASA's website. You can.
Because you said
all studies. So name
the creditable studies.
So many to choose from, man. All of them? You could just pick any random study and it would be one, right?
You said all of them, so name one. You're just buying time to Google stuff now. Again.
I'm not Googling anything right now.
Any credible
All right, name one study.
So any credible study that has been done shows the Earth is a planet.
All studies show that the Earth is not a planet.
What about studies on cancer?
See how that works?
Do they show the Earth as a planet, or
No, we're not saying all studies, bro.
Look, and it wouldn't even matter if every single one, because like prior to people going to Australia, everybody thought all the swans were white, and every swan everyone ever found was white, and then they found a black swan, and then realized their idea that all swans were white was wrong. So every study could say whatever.
I think it's a little bit different when there's one Earth and we can take pictures
First
of it.
of all, you're just appealing to authority, which isn't actually an argument, it's a logical fallacy. And you can't see that, by the way, I just want to bring this up. You can't see rocks on the moon, sorry.
Yeah.
You can see that as a rocky surface. And yeah, you can see rocks on the moon if you...
Well, that's weird because they say it's covered in dust, so...
Wait, let me Google this.
Turn your imagination.
Google something.
You keep doing this. You keep Googling the evidence for what you already think is true.
What the
surface?
Bro, can I just give you a pro tip? Don't say things and then Google it, bro. You look silly.
Look,
Was the moon
is
landing
it
fake
normal to
then,
do
or
this?
what?
Oh, let me ask you a question. Is it normal to do figure out the truth like this? Believe it first and then go look for the evidence.
No, I've seen the evidence before. I just don't remember all the fucking sources.
They
I know
always
you guys-
say that. They always say that. You're capping.
Okay, I haven't actually seen like a good source on that the Earth is flat. I legitimately have not.
You haven't seen any sources.
Just like all the studies from the other one, right? Just like all the studies that
you're
haven't
the
seen.
bro. You're the source.
I'm the source.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're a source of information that the Earth is flat. Well, have you ever experienced the Earth as a globe, or do you experience as flat?
I experience it as flat. Yeah, that's true.
Okay, so you're the source of information. You experience it as flat, case closed. If someone wants to come along and say, "Hey, dude, that experience is somehow wrong," right? That's what they're telling you. That's wrong. You're just living in an optical illusion.
Can you define religion for me?
Yeah, the globe.
The globe. Okay.
The globe is a religion, dude.
Acceptance without evidence.
Yeah. Okay. Let's say that then. So I think that's decent. Isn't that the same as I experience it? I don't have evidence that it is actually like that. I just experience it like that.
Isn't science based upon empirical evidence, like experience?
Well, I mean, that in it is reproducible.
Okay. I also experience this flat, so how about you, Jedi?
Water finding its level is pretty reproducible. I can reproduce that. How many times do you want me to reproduce it?
3 times.
Yeah, no problem.
Lake, ocean, swimming pool. Done.
Bathtub,
But you guys
cup
get
of water,
bothered and
thimble,
no one believes
spoon.
you.
Who cares? It doesn't matter. No, this is the problem. They don't have to believe us because they're denying their own senses. They have a belief. If they don't want to believe their own senses, that's a them problem, not a us problem. That makes them delusional. You know that, right?
No, actually, the opposite.
Okay, so if you see something and you perceive it as something else, and you say it's something else that not was what you perceive it as, that's definition of what delusional is. Like I see a tree and I say that's a cat. I see it's flat and I go, that's a ball.
Yeah. You see a table and you go, oh, it's just a really big ball. That's why it looks like a table.
Okay, is the Earth looking flat evidence of it being curved?
No, it's not. Like, I just don't believe what you guys are having.
Dude, I'm listen. We've done this lots of times, dude. Don't take any of this personally, and we're kind of jesting. But people think a lot of things about the globe, the idea. That's not true because it's so incorporated into their brain as like an unassailable truth. That Earth's a globe, it's an unassailable truth. There's a bunch of scientists out there somewhere. I don't know what they did or who they are, but they did something and they proved it's a globe because that's what they told me. Everybody agrees it's the same thing. How could all these people possibly be wrong? I mean, that's how people think about it. Okay?
Yeah, but
they don't think about it. They don't think about it appropriately. They don't think about it. Hey, and I'll ask you. This will demonstrate this one question. If nobody told you the Earth was a globe ever, and nobody knew that, would you have figured it out for yourself on your own?
No, probably not.
Okay, then that means it's not obvious. It's not obviously a globe. That someone has to come along and whisper in your ear and say, hey, dude, it just looks flat, but it's actually a giant ball. And you have a choice to believe them or not. And
have you been flat earther all your life, or
no? I believed it was a ball too.
How long?
Until I realized that there's observations that that are impossible on the globe. Specifically, I'll just give you one off the top of my head. The Chicago skyline. You can see the Chicago skyline from 52 miles away across Lake Michigan. And it's been seen over and over and over and over and over again. It's a common occurrence for people to see it. Well, if the Earth was a ball the size that they say, then you would only see of Chicago the antenna of Willis Tower, which is the tallest tower in America. Right? It's something like 1,600 feet or something. You would only see the antenna, which is like 1,783 feet high, right? Because the curvature of the Earth is supposed to be blocking 1,600 feet of Chicago. So you would see no buildings in Chicago except for the antenna and 10 floors of Willis Tower. but people see the entire skyline of Chicago. And this has been observed consistently for fucking a century.
Yeah, but do you know where the pictures of? Have you been there yourself and seen it?
No, I've done my own tests where I live.
You've been there and seen it?
No, I haven't been there. But someone listen, Mary, wait around for Mary Mom, Dandelion, and she's seen it. She's been there. She can tell you herself.
Okay.
I've done my own tests that are appropriate for where I live. I can't do the Chicago skyline test in Boston. Okay? The Taconic Mountains are in the way. There's no way I could ever see Chicago.
So, what I think as a brainwashed glober is that maybe the people taking these pictures were standing on a hill, or
they were, and we were taking that into account.
Okay.
These were taken from a place called Warren Dunes. The tallest dune is 200 feet above the lake. So there's an Earth curve calculator. You can just punch in 200 feet as the observer height, and 52 miles as the distance, and it'll tell you the hidden height is 1,600 feet.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? But we know how tall the buildings are. And the Earth curve, the curve of the Earth the point is the curve of the Earth should be in the way, and these are the reasons that flat Earthers exist. You've probably made observations yourself that are incompatible with the globe and just didn't realize it because nobody thinks about it, right? You just think about it, it's just a giant ball. That's normal to see that far. That's what people do. They don't think about it. So, and I can give you an example of this where this is really bad. So the U.S. Geospatial Agency has a publication called the Southern Ocean Sailing Guide. And it tells you how to sail in the Southern Ocean, what to look out for, etc. Advice, right? So it says in that sailing guide that it is not uncommon to see mountains 300 miles away. Now, the people that wrote that didn't think anything of it, right? It just says, well, the air is very clean, there's low humidity, there's low particles, so you can see mountains 300 miles away. Well, if you do the math, the only way you could be able to see a mountain 300 miles away if it was 9.75 miles tall. Okay? And Mount Everest is 5.25 miles tall. So how would they see a mountain that's like twice the height of Everest?
Okay.
So they didn't like the point is that people don't realize they've made flat Earth observations, right? But they just don't realize it. That's why I said you're the evidence that the Earth is flat. I guarantee you've made a flat Earth observation, just didn't realize it.
Yeah. I've multiple times I've looked out and thought it just seems like it goes on forever, right?
Yeah.
I think it's interesting, but I just
Yeah, I know. There's a lot of propaganda. They flood you with fucking space pictures and NASA fucking articles and blah blah blah. But that's just like Santa Claus for adults, dude. It's really just. I mean, they say dumb ass shit, dude. We call it like a lore. You know how you have like a video game and they have a lore that you have to download? They like update the lore. That's kind of like what NASA is. Every once in a while, they get a lore update and they change everything they said before, and they're telling you some other new shit. That, like now, did you know that the moon is inside Earth's atmosphere now?
Okay.
Yeah, so Google moon inside Earth's atmosphere. You'll get an article that says, surprise, moon's now inside Earth's atmosphere. That the atmosphere of Earth extends far beyond the moon and the moon's inside it. So technically, if the moon's inside the Earth's atmosphere, no one's been to space. Because they've never left Earth's atmosphere. Because the furthest anybody ever went, it was the moon.
Outer space.
Well, if going to space means leaving Earth's atmosphere, and the moon is inside Earth's atmosphere, and the furthest anybody went is to the moon, that means they never left Earth's atmosphere, and they've never been to space. Yeah, Miguel posted it in the chat. Thanks, Miguel.
Yeah, 10,000 kilometers it says here as well.
Yeah, so the point is that if you look, right, we used to do a show called Zany Space News because, like, every day there's some new nonsense put out by NASA or ESA or one of these other space agencies that is just absolute horseshit. Oh, it rains diamonds on Jupiter. Uranus smells like farts. These are actual articles that they've published. Right? They're supposed to be scientific.
Why wouldn't it be true?
Come on, dude.
No, the diamonds.
To rain diamonds? Do you really think it's raining diamonds?
I mean, maybe it was worded, but I know the pressure is very, very high. I know.
No, you don't know that. How would you know that?
According to the law. According to the law, dude, that's being pointed out to you. Yeah, according to the law, this thing's happens. We can start talking about fucking Star Wars in a minute. It's that type of thing.
Warp 7.
Right, so if you guys were able to observe something yourself, and would you believe it more?
Look, that's the only way you can actually ever know anything.
Well, I think it's funny how you guys don't trust any sources, but you still link a bunch of sources here.
No. It's not that. We don't believe that this is true, though. We're linking. This is evidence that they say stupid shit. Did they not actually say this, or is that in dispute? They didn't say this? This is a fake fucking internet story?
What? Which one?
Any of these?
Uranus?
Uranus opens and closes. What the do you think? Look, everyone's anus opens and closes and releases wind. It's a normal bodily function. Look, let's ask you this. What could they say that you wouldn't believe? Like, how far do they have to go? If NASA said the Earth is flat, you wouldn't believe it? Even though you experience the Earth is flat, you're cooked, bro. Yo, you're cooked.
I mean, I don't... It is so alien to me. I can look up at the sky, I can look up with my telescope, I can see that other planets in our solar system
Earth isn't a planet.
Dude, think about what you're saying, dude. This is like me saying, I can look at my neighbor's house and I live in a mansion because there's a fucking mansion across the street.
Why would we be the only place in the universe
that is not a planet? We're not in the universe.
We're nothing.
Can you hear me?
Really? We're nothing?
Yeah, I can hear you. I just don't have any reason to believe it.
You just revealed the whole thing when you said we're nothing.
Yep.
You just gave up the game, man. That's the game.
Wait, what did he say?
They want you to think you're nothing. You understand now? I hope that rung a bell in your head, dude. So there was this thing called the Copernican principle, invented by Nicholas Copernicus, allegedly, that says the Earth has no unique place in the universe. Okay, so if Earth is not unique, you're not unique, I'm not unique. We're just a speck in an infinite, uncaring universe that was birthed from nothing, 91 billion fucking years ago, and our lives are meaningless. Everything is meaningless. There's no point to any of it.
So we are at everywhere at the same time and nowhere. We don't what? Is that the whole thing?
Here we go. Brains in the jar now. Yep. We're going to the brain in the jar.
All jar, no brain.
All jar, no brain. Dude, I'm saying is this globe narrative supports that. And you just revealed it by saying, why are we like we're nothing? Like, why would we be different than everything else, dude? We're nothing. Right. It's like you want to be nothing. It's like, why you like? It's like you're rooting to be an insignificant speck.
I didn't say that. I said that I don't believe that we are the only thing in the universe that is not either a planet, a star, or nothing.
Why?
Or gas. Because it doesn't make sense that we're the only ones. You have
Not
any
in
idea
the
how fucking
universe.
big the universe is?
Even in mainstream science, is there anything like the Earth that they've ever seen?
They've seen close to it, but no, nothing.
Okay, does it have life on it? Does anything have life on it?
They have readings that could only be produced by life from some planet.
Like tea leaf readings? Like what kind of readings do they have?
I don't remember exactly what it was called, or the planet was called, but it had gas on it that could only be produced by a living organism.
See, he thinks those things are worlds, and he thinks Earth shares outer space with those other worlds. They're not other worlds, bro. This is the only world.
What are they then? Like, is it CGI in the sky?
No, we see them. It's not CGI. Okay, we see them. The story of what they are, what they're composed of, how far away they are, how big they are, all those details, that's made up bullshit.
If I take
100 years ago, like
and look at the
100 years
moon,
ago, yeah. So what?
I can see that it's not made out of poop.
Yeah, dude. That's an American euphemism. Made up bullshit means the stories about them are bullshit, bro.
I know.
They're just not okay. 1,000 years ago, let's say. No, let's say 5,000 years ago. They had stories about the stars, right? And the planets. They could look up. They could see them.
Yeah.
They could actually predict where they were going to be in the future at some point, like the Mayans.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How do you know their stories aren't correct? How do you know the current contemporary cosmology is the correct one?
What do you mean, the predicting part of where the stars?
No, just what they are. Their composition, how far away they are, how old they are, all those facts, which they say are facts, right? They say, look, that star, Canopus B, it's fucking 40 million light years away, and it's freaking 23 billion years old. It's a freaking main sequence star, and blah, blah, blah. They'll tell you all these facts, right? So-called facts about this star or any other star, right? They know somehow they looked it through a telescope, and they could tell its composition. That's what it's made out of, right? They could tell how old it was. They could tell how far away it was and how large it was.
Yeah, I don't know how they do that.
By looking through a telescope.
I don't know how to do it. I have no comment on that.
Why do you think that they can do it?
Because they know more about it than I do.
How do you know that?
Because they've spent their entire lives studying.
No, because you know what they said? They said, I know, don't question me. I know more than you about this. And you're like, sorry.
Your own
who am I to question you, great astronomer? I am just a shub.
Exactly.
I am just a useless shub. I will never question you again. Ever consider the fact you're full of shit? You ever thought about that?
Oh, me?
Yeah, have you ever thought that maybe the astronomers are just liars? Or deluding themselves?
Who taught them?
Might cross my
and then
mind,
who taught those people? And then who taught those people? Where did it start? Who's the first person to figure out what a star is?
Yeah, when did they decide the sun is a star?
Where's the discoverer of outer space's statue, bro? Where's the statue of the person that discovered outer space?
The sun used to be classified as a planet. You know that, right? So did the moon. The moon and the sun and the planets were all classified as planets.
How many hundreds of years ago was this? I don't keep up on the history of this.
Probably 1,500, 1,400.
Yeah, so a while ago when we still thought oh shit, I can't say that in here because you
we were dumb then.
The sun orbits the Earth, right?
Yeah, a while ago, because we're so much smarter now. Well, this is the ironic thing. The reason you think we're smarter now than them, because you think they figured out the Earth's a globe.
No.
Was it the Jews who convinced us that the world is round?
Huh? That was a fucking right turn. What?
Was it the Jews who convinced us that the Earth is round?
The Jews?
No.
I hate Jews.
The pointy-hatted people. That's crazy work.
Dude, I don't drink juice. I drink water.
This is like that guy from the Unit the
This
Right
is like
Group.
the edge board. This edge
It's
board.
like
I'm gonna
the
go in the
Jews and
chat
the
and try to
Earth.
say something
I'm
edgy
not an
and
edge
feel cool,
lord.
and then get
I'm
muted. Yeah, just like that. That's how that works. Anyway, back to shub, whatever your
Alright.
name is.
Yeah. So about like how they can see like things that are so far away, what they're made of, and all that. I mean, things that I know about.
No, they don't even know that if they're far away. They don't even know that, dude.
What do I not know?
They don't know. They don't know how far any of that shit is. They don't know how big it is. They don't know what it's composed of. They don't know how old it is. All of that
So
stuff.
what
is
what would the point be in lying?
They're just wrong. Okay,
Why
it's
would,
not
why,
that they're
okay, why
lying.
would they purposefully Photoshop?
Purposely what? Be wrong? People don't purposely be
pictures of
wrong,
the
bro. Who's they?
Astronomers don't Photoshop shit. And if they do, they tell you it's at the bottom of the print. They'll say artist's impression.
So the pictures of the Earth as a globe published by NASA, they're fake?
So the pictures of me of the Earth being flat, are they fake?
I'm not saying that.
See, we can both play this game. So you can verify my pictures because you can take the same pictures. Yeah. Well, you can go to the ocean and take a picture of a flat Earth yourself, bro.
I think it's like nearly the only argument I hear is that it looks flat.
No, it measures flat as well.
Yeah, unless you have a 5,000 mile long stick that is completely straight.
Why would you need to measure that much?
Well, just an example.
No, like, can't we just measure a portion? Like a small portion?
Yeah, I mean, if you have measurement tools good enough for that, I guess.
Yeah, like, well, let me ask you this. In 10 miles, how much drop due to curve do you think there is?
I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly, it's 6 inches per 1 mile, right? That is.
No, that would be first of all, that would be a slope. So, no, it's not that. Okay, it's 8 inches per mile squared. That's what's called the surveyor drop. So that's the drop of the surface from eye level. Yeah, no, because you said a slope. Yeah. I said per mile squared, not per mile. Whatever. Yeah. No, it's a big difference, dude. It's a difference between a slope and a curve, dude. Are you crazy? So, anyway, so in 10 miles, it would be 66 feet of drop, a six-story building. Do you think we can measure that easily? 66 feet?
60, yeah.
Yeah, it should be easy to measure. He's super simple. Any freaking, anybody that can fog a mirror should be able to go out and measure that in some way, shape, or form. But when we go out to measure that curve that should be there don't exist in reality. And that's why we can reject your things that you think are pictures of the Earth from space. Because they depict something that's physically impossible and not compatible with the reality that we experience. So a picture of Earth from space, do you want to know what it shows, the main thing? Because they say that most of the surface of the Earth is water. So any picture of the Earth being a globe has to have curving water on it. But then when we measure water on Earth, it's flat, level, lies horizontal, and it's not curving. So I can discard any picture that shows curving water because no one can demonstrate curving water exists in the real world. Yeah, so think about it like this. Someone shows a picture of a tree in the middle of a field. You go, hey, man, it's a nice picture. I want to go to that tree. And you're like, okay, it's in this field in this town. And you go to that field in that town and there's no tree there. Can you say that photo was fake? Or do you need to prove that photo was fake? Or does the fact that the photo depicts something that doesn't exist in reality prove it's fake?
I'm sorry. Can you say it again?
Does the fact that the photo... Okay, someone shows you a photo of a tree in a field, okay? And you ask, hey, where's that field? I want to look at that tree in person. And then you go to that field, and there's no tree in that field. There's no trees at all. It's an empty field. That photo's fake, right?
Could be. Could also be.
What do you mean?
A different field, or the trees could have been chopped down, or.
No, there's no fucking stumps, and it's the right field.
Okay. Yeah. Then
so you know the picture's fake, right? Okay. So the fact that if someone says, "Hey, here's a picture," and what that picture is in the picture, what it depicts doesn't exist in the physical world, then that picture's fake. So pictures purporting to be the Earth from space that show curving water, we can check to see if the water's curving, and since it's not, we know the picture's fake. Do you understand how that works?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We know the picture's fake because we can test the water of the Earth. It's most of the water is connected, right? The Pacific Ocean's connected to the Atlantic Ocean. That's connected to the Indian Ocean. It's connected to the Pacific Ocean, right? It's all connected water. It's all flat and level on its surface. It it's supposed to be 70% of the Earth. So you can't have the water's flat, it can't be a ball, right? You can't have a 70% flat ball.
Yeah, I think the way I think about that is the Earth is so big that I won't be able to see it. That's how I think about it, right? It's not like Outer Wilds where you can just...
Yeah, but I just went over that. In 10 miles, there should be 66 feet of drop. In 52 miles, it should be 1,600 feet of drop. The Chicago skyline I was talking about?
Yeah.
Pardon me? Those are the right numbers, believe me. I've been doing this a long time. These aren't our numbers, these are their numbers. We didn't make up the math, dude. They said the Earth has a ball with a radius of 3,959 miles. We didn't make up that number. That's the number they said. The only way to test what the Earth is to test the Earth. Isn't to look in the sky with a telescope, or to fucking look at your neighbor's house, or to imagine a fucking chalkboard full of equations. Because ultimately those equations, those models, those claims, in science, you even said it yourself, you have to repeat shit, right? Well, to repeat stuff, you need something that needs to be repeated. So if I say, hey, gravity forms things into a ball, okay, so gravity forms Earth into a ball, you go, okay, that's my hypothesis. Let's test if that's actually the case and measure the Earth and see if it actually is a ball. Well, we go to measure the Earth and it actually isn't a ball. And I say measure, like it looks flat, but it also measures flat. The looking is just, obviously, if it measures flat, it looks flat. So if you take a laser and you shine it a long distance, the laser should get farther away from the Earth as you go along the laser, right? Because the Earth should curve away from the laser.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, when we do these tests, that's not what happens. The laser stays at the same level.
I saw a video about
it. It wasn't dude, that video you saw was not a laser test. It was a flashlight. That fucking Jeranism video. It's misrepresenting what happened. There was 100 people, including globe earthers, at that test. Nobody at that test thought they measured a curvature of the Earth. Nobody, including the globers. It's just a hit piece. It's just garbage. And they didn't use a laser, okay, at all. They had a laser.
Right. Yeah, it's been a while since.
They had a laser, and there's this thing called a beam collimator, which makes the laser not spread out. So the thing is, they get hot. So they turned the laser on and they left it on too long, and that collimator melted to the laser, so they couldn't use it. But because there was so many people there, they didn't want to just go home and tell people, well, fuck, we melted the laser, sorry. So they're like, let's just try it with a flashlight. It probably won't work, but let's try it with a flashlight. And that's what they did. And it didn't work because flashlights, light spreads out. And they're trying to shine it through 2 holes, dude, that are fucking like 1.6 kilometers apart. Just lining those holes up. Now, imagine trying to line up two 6-inch circular holes 1.6 kilometers apart and try to get them at the same elevation.
I don't think there's any place where Muslims stand that far apart from each other. They have to smell each other's armpits.
Yeah.
For flat earthers, they have to smell each other's armpits.
Well, there was Globers there, so what's your excuse for them? Yeah, that's right. You're not clever, dude. Bye. Fucking children, dude. Anyway.
So NASA and all the other space agencies, they all faked the image knowingly.
Bruh. Are you like an NPC or something?
Well, I mean, I don't...
Did you just like reset to like the beginning of your script? Tell me why I said we can discard all those images. And we don't even have to consider them.
Because you can measure it otherwise. You can measure
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, but why would they fake it? Why would they not?
Who cares?
Why would they not show the truth?
Who cares? It doesn't matter.
I think it's an important thing to consider as well.
Well, then go find out.
Spend so much money and effort.
Look, let me ask you this. If I want to prove someone committed murder, do I have to prove motive?
If you want to prove someone has committed murder?
Yeah. Do I have to prove the motive, why they did it?
Not if you have other proof.
No, you don't need the motive at all. All you need is, there's a murder. This is the person that did it. You don't need to know why. Why is it relevant? Sometimes people do things they don't even know why they did them in the first place. So it doesn't matter why. You're only like, this event happened, this is the person involved in the event, that's it. So we don't need to know why. We don't care. I personally don't care why. And how would I ever know why? It would be speculation. And if I did know why, I'd be in on it, right? If they're lying because of this reason, that would make me in on it.
Sure.
And it isn't going to change the fact that the Earth measures flat, whether you know why or not, whether they signed confessions, whether they all admitted it. It doesn't even matter. These are what I call sociological arguments. You're looking for like arguments about people instead of the objective evidence that the Earth is. The Earth is objectively one way or the other. It doesn't matter what people think about it. Like, look, you can measure a table as flat, and it doesn't matter what people say about it. It's flat regardless of what people say. Even if there's 1,000 people that freaking say that table's not flat, the table's curved. And you're like, well, it could be curved because why would all these people lie? No, it doesn't matter what they say. Talk is cheap.
I saw as well. Yeah, I understand what you mean as well, by the way. But I saw someone took some flat Earth influencers to the North Pole, and most of them ended up going home and saying they were wrong. Do you know about that?
South Pole. South Pole. You got it wrong, bro.
You're butchering your DMs, bro. Dude, who's DMing you?
Oh God! It was Antarctica, and only one that I know of. I don't know of there was only 3 people, right? And
There's
one I know for sure. Yeah, and one I know for sure has discarded flat Earth.
Okay, but I'm guessing he was a pretty devoted flat earther as well before.
That's debatable.
Oh, well. I think
he wasn't a lot of people. Let's put it this way: he wasn't respected in the community. I'll put it that way.
Okay.
He made horrible arguments for flat Earth. He was in a debate and he got fucking destroyed. And he seemed like a grifter on a couple levels. And he's the idiot that did that fucking the experiment that you thought was a laser. That's the same person.
Yeah. Okay.
But all that's irrelevant because the thing you keep avoiding, right? The shape of the Earth. If I say Earth is a ball, that's a claim about geometry. If I say Earth is a cube, that's a claim about geometry. If I say the Earth is flat, that's a claim about geometry. There is only one arbiter of geometry, and that's measurement. Doesn't matter what people do or say or think. It doesn't matter. Look, say you're building a house. Would you fucking take a survey or ask the experts if your floor was square? And then they just come up and they just look at it and they go, oh, this floor looks square to me. Or would you take a tape measure and measure your floor?
Right, a second.
Yeah, you take the tape measure. And if someone argues with the tape measure, the only thing they can argue is, well, you measured it and you read the tape measure wrong. Or you measured it wrong. That's all they can say. They can't say anything else. They can't say, well, look at the lights above the floor. The shadows on the floor don't make sense. So your tape measure's busted. That's idiotic.
Yeah.
So
I just don't think I'm able to...
I know it's hard to grasp that this is such a simple question because you're taught that this is a complicated thing, right? We're taught that the question is complicated and only scientists can figure it out, right? That's how it's presented to us.
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah, because you even said it. Like, I don't know who, but there's some scientists out there somewhere. It's a very common thing we hear. But it's actually super simple. It's freaking like fucking 3rd grade geometry and like 7th grade algebra.
What, measuring the Earth?
Yeah, for calculating what the globe predicts is like 7th grade algebra. The geometry, I'm assuming you learned what a circle was in 3rd grade or maybe earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is not complicated. Super simple. And that's what I think throws people back. Like, it can't be this easy. No, I need to do all this extra shit. I need to look through a telescope or fucking ask a scientist or make a theory.
Because I think it's too easy. I just can't like wrap my head around us being the floor of the universe, and everything that I know makes so much sense. Because everything, it just makes sense. Like the Earth is round, it's orbiting around the sun. The moon is orbiting around the Earth, and all that shit. It just makes sense. It wouldn't make sense.
I'm gonna quote Jemsy. Like you're making sense of nonsense. Because in no way do you sense that. How does it make sense to not sense a thing and then say not sensing that thing makes sense?
Exactly. Like, can I ask you, like, do you think that the first person to declare that the Earth is a big giant spinning ball in outer space to a person, to someone else, like, do you think that that person that they told was like, oh yeah, of course?
No, I think it's documented.
Or do you think that they looked at them like they had 3 heads?
First guy who said it was, I think he was executed for talking against the church or something. Or that might have been.
Yeah, right. The point is, if you'd have never heard the story, right, and someone came up to you and said, did you know that you live on a big giant spinning ball in an ever-expanding vacuum where there's nothing? You would have looked at them as if they had 3 heads, bro, because none of your natural experience of reality tells you that. It's not self-evident. So it's the absolute opposite to what you're saying.
Yeah, okay. I'll go measure the Earth then, I guess. If I come back a flat earther, I will thank no. I'll thank you if I come back a flat earther. All right, good talk.
I cannot live with the knowledge that I have.
Okay, you're full after.
I'm gonna survive.
You've been whining about pushing a button for fucking 30 minutes.
Hey, if you wanted to discuss like stuff related to the shape of the Earth. Have you come up with an explanation of how Foucault's pendulum works on a stationary Earth?
Oh yeah, have you come up with any data that shows Foucault's pendulum working in any way?
So, yes, you can go and see it yourself.
Where?
There are places where they built Foucault's pendulums into
like in museums and malls and those.
Yeah, so
those are driven.
I've been
those are driven with a magnetic motor. Want me to post the manual?
We have one that works, right? So you can go and see it for yourself.
Okay, cool. So those are driven, and I can post the manual that they're driven, and they're adjusted to process any way you want them to process.
So if I find you one example of one that actually works without being driven, as you say, you're going to have to admit that the Earth must spin in order for that to work. Okay, then let's assume that it does.
We're not even at step one.
Works, right? Like let's assume that there's one that works. Okay, how does it work on a stationary Earth?
For you. Okay, I'll lay it out for you. It's really simple. First, you get the data. Once you get the data to support your claim,
you said you wouldn't have to admit it, right?
Why are you interrupting me, Spaz? Why are you interrupting me? Okay, dude. I'm laying it out for you.
Like, let's say that I don't present
the so hard you're blowing out your mic.
Come here with the proof, right? Like, what are you going to tell me? And how are you going to justify the pendulum rotating?
Okay, you haven't presented any evidence. Okay,
how are you going to justify it? That's what I want to know.
Okay, first of all, find the evidence, and once we find the evidence, this is the second time you've done this. I'm about to mute you forever.
Are you going to?
Yeah, Cain. This is the same problem you had earlier, where when you interrupt people and start talking over them, your mic just is absolute like chaos and impossible to listen to. You have to take turns speaking.
Okay, so now that you're muted, this is a two-step thing. First, you find the data. Once we have the data, we can go, does this data demonstrate that the Earth is spinning?
He's hysterical.
Right? Why is this Foucault's pendulum doing whatever the data shows? How do we figure out what's causing whatever it is we see? Okay. How do we figure out what's causing whatever it is we see? Okay, right? That's how it works. The data alone don't tell you anything, but you don't even have that.
Okay, so I was just gonna say, let me clarify what I'm asking. Okay, so say that I do bring you this data, right? Like when I do bring you the data of a working Foucault's pendulum, are you going to admit that the Earth must be spinning?
No.
Okay, then how are you going to justify the pendulum working on a stationary Earth?
Okay. I don't need to. You need to justify how the Foucault's pendulum is spinning, is processing, and that's why it's processing, right? You need to demonstrate that's the cause of the procession, the Earth's spin.
Okay, so the way Foucault's pendulum works is because of the conservation of angular momentum.
How do you know that?
Yeah.
How do you know that?
How do you know that?
How do you know that? Yes. How do you know that's how it works?
Alternative explanation.
How do you know that's how it's? No, I don't care about your explanation. How do you know that's what's happening?
Because it's the only explanation for it. What is the alternative?
How do you know that's the only explanation? I'll just make another one right now. Magic fairies.
Okay, go ahead. That's what I'm asking you to do. Go ahead.
Okay, magic fairies. I got the same evidence you do. Nothing. I got the same evidence you do.
Amazing.
I got the same evidence you do. I just asserted it.
So you think
giggling is a refutation, dude?
Momentum, like the angular momentum, does not conserve. Is that what you think?
No, that's not what I said.
Okay, then I said you have the same amount of evidence for magic theories that I have for conservation of angular momentum.
Listen, okay, I wasn't going to say this, but you don't even know how the Foucault's pendulum is supposed to work at all.
Okay, so
it's
why would
angular momentum being conserved.
You didn't answer my question. Why would you say? Why would you say?
Shut up! Shut up!
No, you didn't answer my question.
Again, it's really annoying. Can you?
You don't.
It's so bad.
You're embarrassing yourself. You're embarrassing yourself.
How come you guys have never sent a weather balloon up to hit the dome?
What dome?
That encapsulates our atmosphere.
Yeah, what dome is that? Where's that at?
Well, you said there can't be gas pressure without a container. How come you haven't?
Is that true? There can be gas pressure without container? Or can there be?
Container does not imply dome, Brody.
No, there can't be. Okay, so what does it imply then?
It implies container.
Okay, so is there any observation of this container?
Its form is irrelevant.
Okay.
The form is irrelevant to its existence. It could fucking be the shape of Burger King's fucking hat, dude. Like, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
It's a necessary condition. Right. The argument is the necessary condition argument. Are you familiar with it?
No.
X is a necessary condition of Y?
Yeah.
Okay, so cows are a necessary condition of steak?
Yeah.
So all I need is a steak. And I know a cow exists. All we need is gas pressure, and we know a container exists.
That's true.
Yeah. So
why can't that container be gravity?
Because gravity doesn't affect gases.
Gases isn't a container for gas to press against.
How do we know gravity doesn't affect gases? Not only is it not in the molecular kinetic theory of gases, it doesn't exist in that. There is no gravitational influence at all on how we model gases. But we have no demonstration that it can actually do this thing. And on top of that, there'd be other consequences consistent with the laws of consistent with the laws of thermodynamics. That means that gravity would be a perpetual motion machine, constantly reversing entropy. Reversing entropy. That means it's perpetual motion, an infinite energy machine. You realize that if you can reverse entropy without cost, right? Gravity isn't going to run out, right? It's not using up energy somewhere where gravity runs out because you use too much of it. Not like a gas can. So the gravity's never going to run out. That means gravity's reversing entropy forever, perpetually, creating temperature, creating pressure. It would be an infinite energy machine, a perpetual motion machine. Okay, there's just consequences to these things. You guys just say, that's why I say, you guys saying gravity creates gas pressure is an ideology. It has no backing by any scientific theory, model, or anything. It's just a word. It's like saying magic. What holds the gas in? Magic. I would buy that before gravity. Because magic can do anything, but gravity can't. I don't know. I know there's gas pressure, so it exists.
Okay, and how do you know that it's not gravity? Or electromagnetism?
Did you just hear what I said?
Hello? Or any other form of non-physical enclosement.
You can't create gas pressure with electromagnetism either.
And you know that how?
The laws of thermodynamics. They're physical laws of nature.
And which of those apply?
In this case, the second law.
How does the second law apply?
Entropy of a system has to increase. You can't create perpetual energy with a magnetic field. You can't create perpetual energy with a static electric field. Okay? You can't create perpetual energy with fucking gravity. So these are the forces that would apply in the scenarios you're talking about. Well, they would have to create. They would have to reverse entropy. Do you understand?
Mm-hmm.
You know what entropy is? The system tends to go from order to disorder. The disordered system would have to go to ordered system, which is an increase in entropy or decrease in entropy. I know it sucks. It's just the way it is, Van. But like, you have the ideology, dude. You've been bitten by the. It's an ideology.
So, like energy cannot transfer from lower energy to higher energy. What does that have to do with gravity?
Because that would have to be the case if gravity was causing it.
How so?
Didn't I just explain it to you twice?
No.
Yo, I did.
He did twice.
Okay. When pressure increases, does temperature increase?
Yes.
Can pressure and temperature do work?
Yes.
Okay. So if gravity is increasing the pressure, it's increasing the temperature.
Yes.
Okay. That means now you have a system that can do work.
That's true.
So when you extract work from the system, is that energy ever going to run out? Is the gravity ever going to go away where the system runs out of energy?
Yes.
When?
What?
I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, me neither. The gravity ain't never going to run out, and like I said, it makes it a perpetual motion machine.
Planets do lose their atmosphere, don't they?
We're not talking about, dude.
God's sake.
Earth is a planet, and you're saying that it does not lose its atmosphere. So
Earth is not a planet.
Energy.
That's what you're trying to prove. It's not a planet, dude.
Like, how can...
Even in your worldview, Earth doesn't... Gravity don't run out. Planets don't lose their atmosphere because the gravity ran out.
Planets flying around the universe that have run out of gravity all of a sudden. Oh dear.
Dude, it means that like we could make like a fucking you could make a Peltier fucking heater, right? Which is like a PN junction. You could stick it in Earth's atmosphere and stick the wires out somewhere and just fucking draw power off the fucking gravity forever and ever and ever and ever, and it would never run out. From the pressure.
I don't know. Like,
I know, because you have an ideology. You don't need any science.
I can't argue with you because you don't even like believe in Mars. You think Mars is like a little sticker stuck onto your.
I mean, I don't believe in Mars. Yeah, I've seen Mars. Why wouldn't I believe in it? I don't have to believe in it. I've seen it.
You have to understand that if you listen to what Indio's saying, no, Mars, that story about that's a violation of the laws that we're talking about because Mars has got an atmosphere that would need to be held in by. We've been through this.
Yeah, but it's lost its atmosphere over time.
Dude.
How do you know that?
Dude.
How do you know that?
Because there's measurable effects on this magnetic field, no?
I don't know. You said it. Have you got it? Have you seen it?
Have I seen it over millions of years now?
Yeah, exactly. You're just going to repeat a story, dude. But what we're saying is these uncontained balls of gas in the vacuum violate all these laws that Injo spent the last 10, 15 minutes telling you about. So if you turn around to us and say, well, I can't, like in Mars, isn't it? Dude, listen to what's being said.
Magnetic fields have ability to do work, correct?
What work?
Do work on objects. Hello?
Okay.
Forever.
Yeah, and they don't last forever. Do you know a magnet that lasts forever?
No, they'll lose their magnetism. Gravity lasts forever.
Yes.
Nothing loses. Gravity lasts forever,
does
right?
not last forever. No.
Okay, when's it run out?
On Mars.
So,
when does it run out? When does a mass lose its gravity?
When it becomes unmagnetized. Like, hello?
No. When does the mass...
unmagnetized.
Yeah, we talk over me. You haven't done that before yet. Now you're doing it now because you fucking cooked yourself by saying something stupid. So, mass... When is the mass going to run out of gravity?
When it loses its magnetism.
When it loses... Mass is created by magnetism.
No, it's mass. No, it's gravity is created by magnetism.
No, it's not.
God. Not in your world.
No, it's not. Gravity is created by the mass within the mass attracting mass example. It's See, people don't even know what you're talking about. The electromagnetic field of the Earth doesn't induce the Earth's mass to cause gravity.
Cain is in the chat deciding to double down on stupid.
Fuck. It's almost as bad as the people that come in here and say the Earth's gravity is caused by the actual rotation of the Earth. You didn't listen very well in school, half of you. And then you come here telling us that we don't understand what we're talking about. It's a fucking embarrassing.
Earth does have a container. How come you guys have never observed this container? How come you haven't set a weather balloon up?
You've eaten a steak. How come you don't know the color of the cow?
You're just gonna not answer my question?
No,
Why has it never been done?
Question. It's a stupid
Why is
question.
it stupid?
Okay, because we don't need to know where the container is, what it's made out of, or anything, because it's not necessary for the fact
You
to
don't have
exist.
to verify your model?
It is verified by the second law of thermodynamics. That's what verified it.
Okay, so you don't need to do anything.
It's not a model, by the way. It's a necessary consequence of the second law of thermodynamics.
I know, but this... How are you...
It's not a model argument.
You are not curious about what type of container it is? And
Don't
how
worry
it was
about my
formed?
curiosity, dude.
Okay. I'm just like...
Worry about your own.
I feel like if you're intellectually honest, I feel like that's something
you're not the arbiter of intellectual honesty because you're intellectually dishonest.
Okay.
You're sitting here saying gravity is caused, mass is caused by, or gravity is caused by magnetism, and you know that's not the fucking mainstream paradigm. Okay, you're full of shit.
I'm just wondering why. Guess it's not interesting.
Why you're full of shit? Because you weren't raised right by your single mother.
I wasn't raised by a single mother.
If it's your point of inquiry, why don't you raise?
You didn't have a dad in your life because you wouldn't act like this.
Act like what? I haven't attacked you. You just started
Dishonest.
attacking me.
You know, dishonest.
Ryan.
And pretending to be honest and being dishonest, then questioning
You're
our
spazzing
honesty.
out.
No, because when you guys go into the fucking personal shit, when you're fucking scumbags, it pisses me off.
I said you're being that's not intellectually honest, not to...
You are not qualified to arbitrate intellectual dishonesty when you are dishonest yourself.
Oh, by the way, he never said anything about his curiosity. He said, don't worry about his curiosity.
Yeah, mind your business.
Well, I'm just wondering. I don't know.
No, you're not. You don't give a fuck about me. Stop it.
Okay.
This is rhetoric. No, you don't, dude.
How can it not be interesting to you?
I'm more interested in why you guys defend things you don't understand. I find that more interesting.
Okay, but you're defending something you've never seen. For all the you've never seen.
No, I'm not. No,
you tell us we've never seen.
I'm not defending. I'm not defending something that I've never seen. Okay,
but you haven't seen the container.
Well, that's
You
irrelevant.
haven't seen the curve.
That's irrelevant to the
me
truth.
Seeing curvature isn't irrelevant.
Listen, it's
intellectually dishonest.
No. You haven't measured curvature. That's the problem. Or seen it.
So seeing is important, is it not?
No, measuring it's more important. Seeing is subjective.
Okay. I mean, that's fair. I'm just wondering if there was a specific reason, but I guess if measuring is enough, I guess.
Dude, you could say, I got to the container, it was like 15,000 miles south of fucking Buenos Aires, dude. You wouldn't believe it anyway.
That is true. I probably wouldn't.
Yeah, so it's really yourself that wants, piles and piles of more evidence on top of what the simple evidence that's already been demonstrated that there's no measured curvature or rotation.
But I would expect to see a proof of the container. I don't know.
Well, some people do send up amateur weather balloons. You could do that if you care enough about it.
And
I'd rather spend my money on other things since it's already been demonstrated that the Earth measures flat and there's no curvature observed anywhere.
Yeah, finding a container or no container is not going to change that. But I mean, too, like you said, you just want to see proof. You have seen proof. Gas, the gas you breathe. You haven't seen it, but I mean, you experience it firsthand.
Yep, that's way more compelling than don't you notice a lot of these the so-called evidence for the globe, which isn't evidence at all. You have to squint really hard and bend over backwards to try to imagine something. I mean, that's why Indio showed you that South Pole article. It's like those people. I know, but they even come right out there and say oh yeah, it didn't work the way we thought it would, so we messed around with it till it did the thing we wanted.
See how I can
that's not science. That's playing with a toy, a grown men, and they're not even embarrassed.
What? I just got moved here.
But
I'm not talking to you, Random. Don't worry. I'm talking to Sign.
But you can see how I have to squint and think that there's a physical dome that's never been observed that encapsulates our Earth.
I never said anything about a dome, but yeah, you don't have to squint like T-Dub said. You can just breathe.
Okay. I know. I think that's, interesting.
What is wrong with the necessary condition argument? Tell us.
Nothing's wrong with it.
It's literally deductive proof, dude.
There you go.
It's proof. It literally doesn't even matter what you say because it's a deductive proof.
I know, but
proof. It's not an inference. It's not inductive reasoning. It's not abductive. It's not reductive. It's deductive. It's a deductive proof. There is no refutation. There's nothing you can say all sorts of shit, but it's a necessary condition. Period.
Okay, but what I don't understand is how it has to be, how there isn't any other explanation for it except for a physical encapsulation, right? Like, just to me, yeah, I don't understand how you could dismiss everything that isn't a physical encapsulation of the atmosphere through some sort of dome or... I don't really see how
special
you can
plating.
dismiss any other forces acting on the gases that we breathe. That's it.
Yeah, special plating. If there was this one instance, this one case where that didn't happen, that's not the case that I can't demonstrate. Nobody ever experiences that.
Experiences what?
Gas pressure without the necessary condition of there being containment.
I know, but just having that containment always needing to be a physical barrier and not having any observation.
Argument from incredulity. I just can't believe that there isn't some other way.
What?
That's basically what you're saying. I just can't believe that there isn't some other way. There's got to be. Surely there might be this other way that we can contain gas and restrict its volume.
So the only way is with a giant dome that's never been observed and with no real explanation
Where do you
of
keep
who
getting this
installed it.
dome from? I don't remember anyone saying dome in the last 20 minutes.
Sign's the only one. Sign is the dome
what
fan.
is it?
Container. Repeat after me. Container.
Container. There we go.
Excellent.
So what is the container?
Don't know. Don't really care.
Don't know.
Still breathe,
How
so I'm
could
pretty
you
happy.
not care? You could not care.
Look,
you don't care that there's a
what
giant...
is your fascination with why do you get hung up on it? What's the deal?
Because you were telling me that there's a giant container the size of an Earth above us, and we have no clue.
Indio explained all this to you, mate.
Okay,
Look,
then
dude,
how there is a container-sized Earth with no
Tell me what's more
history and
absurd.
no reason.
Tell me what's more absurd: perpetual motion machines or a giant container covering the Earth? Which is more absurd? Yeah, that's what I thought.
They're
equal.
Yeah,
equal. Free energy is equal to container.
To a giant container the size of the Earth that's never been observed, never been seen, and never measured. Yes.
Free energy.
Yes.
Okay, dude. So, fuck the laws of thermodynamics, which almost all science is based on, according to Einstein, is the 3 pillars of science. Fuck all that. No known violations. Arthur Eddington said that whoever's theory goes against the second law of thermodynamics, his theory is going to fail in the greatest humiliation. Fuck all that shit. I don't like containers.
That's pretty insane. There's a giant container that's never been seen, never been measured.
Doesn't violate the second law of thermodynamics.
What's your obsession with the second law of thermodynamics? What?
Because it's a
what
law.
is so obsessed with you?
Because it's a physical law with no known violations. It's a physical law with no known violations.
Yeah, up till now.
Ever.
And if there was a perpetual energy machine, that would violate it. That's just as insane as a giant...
No. Violations of the second law lead to perpetual motion machines.
Yes.
It's not a perpetual motion machine that exists. Here's the second law violation. It's that if you can violate the second law, so there's scenarios for this, like Maxwell's demon, right? So if you can violate the second law and create order from a disordered system, which would be a violation of the second law, the end result is you'd have a perpetual energy machine over unity, meaning you could get more energy out than you put in. You're saying that is less absurd than that there's a container containing the gas. I don't think you know how to properly evaluate freaking what seems more impossible or what the fucking laws of physics are or something. Because giant containers are definitely possible. Second law of thermodynamics violations are not.
Bro, what's up, guys? How are you doing?
Hello.
Hello. You
We're
guys
doing
have
well.
already heard the Earth might be concave. I've joined
No, the
the
only thing
concave
that's
server
been
last time.
your
It's
head's
very
concave, dude.
interesting.
Personal attack. Don't like when that happens to you. We just did
bro,
it to some random guy.
Yeah, he's trolling, dumbass.
I'm not trolling, bro.
Yeah. Okay. What's the evidence of the concave Earth? We'll humor you.
Reducement, man.
If you want, I can send you an invite to the Discord server, the concave server. They have a lot of evidence. Post it in the chat there.
No, you're gonna tell us.
But they have a lot of fans. Wait, what?
Yeah, I mean, I'm new. You know what I mean. I'm not
yeah.
speaking about it.
Yeah, how new?
It's
Like
interesting.
when you click the fucking button, join call. That new?
Oh shit, this is the third time he's been here that I've seen.
Wait, being here? Where's the beans at?
I'm a new flat earth. I became one when I hit join voice call.
Do you want to have an invite or no?
Look, dude, I know all about the concave Earth. If it's a big concave Discord, Gandalf the Green's probably over there, though. He's probably going by a different name. I know all about it, dude.
Gandalf is the owner, dude. Gandalf is the owner. You are right.
Gandalf's the owner.
See, you are into it. Yes. He's the owner of the server. I think he's definitely an admin, but I don't know if he's the owner of the server. But he's an admin.
I like Gandalf. Personally, I like him. We disagree on this, though, and he went a little schizo over it. Well, I mean, This shit don't have to be like personal like that. We don't have to be enemies because he's a concave earther.
Yeah, he's
I think it-
entertaining. I recall him. He's pretty entertaining.
That's what I'm saying. It feels a little bit like Flat Earth is like a little bit 2019, you know what I mean? Concave is the next
Oh
state
God, we need
of
fuck, dude. This is like wearing old shoes. Fuck, dude, can't do that. Don't wear your white shoes after Labor Day.
Yeah, I don't know what the
You guys just say some weird. Oh man, I think I've been on too long, man. Like or something. Like, why do I care what the latest thing is?
Yeah, but if it's the truth, you know what I mean? Like we are searching for the truth.
Truth don't change.
That's what
It's
I'm
one
saying.
of the very first things I ever learned when I was like 14 years old. That truth doesn't change. The truth don't need protection. The truth doesn't need anything. It just is what it is. And it doesn't need to be defended, though you can defend it. Right? But it doesn't need you. It doesn't need anything.
But sometimes we need multiple steps to come to the truth, you know what I mean? And Flat Earth is maybe just like a step
what's the first step of coming to the truth? Any idea?
I mean,
I have an idea.
Yeah, of course. NASA is fake. That's the first step, you know what I mean?
No,
that's obviously the first step.
No.
Of course, bro. Let's be honest, that's the first step. I mean,
No.
we don't have to debate that one.
The first step of coming to the truth is figuring out how you can come to the truth. So you got to be able to know how to analyze information, critically analyze it, and then use logic and reason to reach a conclusion which is true. Okay, if you don't know how to do that, it's garbage in, garbage out. I can feed you any information, and you can't process the information in a way from which you can determine the truth. You just demonstrated that by saying, first thing you got to realize that NASA is fake. So fucking what? NASA could be fake, and that doesn't matter. The condition of NASA does not prove whether the Earth is flat, globe, concave, fucking starfish. Doesn't say anything about that. NASA's an organization made of human fucking beings, and what it's doing does not affect the shape of the Earth one iota.
Yeah, but bro, everyone in here started with that.
You're gonna double down on a logical fallacy every time. You don't know how to think, bro. You don't know how to think.
Can we agree on that one? That literally everyone in this channel at the moment realized someone in his or her life NASA is fake, and then was like, maybe there is more fakeness behind.
Yeah, but listen, how would they realize NASA's fake unless they didn't apply logic and reason?
I mean, because they're fucking holographic beam bullshit in their videos. You know what I mean? Because you can see it. Because there is 700,000 YouTube videos about it. I mean, there is a lot of things going on in the internet telling you that NASA is fake.
Yeah, I would agree with you. All those things exist, but
okay,
whether they are fake or not, yeah, someone else deal with him. I'm about to spaz out and fucking kick him out.
But guess what? Like I realized NASA was full of shit.
Wait, deal with who?
And guess what? I didn't become a flat earther. I still believe the Earth was a globe.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, the last time in this show, I was told that we can't trust any video evidence. Is that correct? Still, we can't trust any video evidence.
What are you talking about? Video evidence of what?
I pointed to things as silly as like the Red Bull commercial. Those are the things I like pointed to, and you know I mentioned at about I think it's 21 seconds. You can find they're right over Albuquerque, New Mexico, which if you looked at like a Google Earth, that would show you like the roundness of the Earth. You know, I brought up all these things. You would be able to see like a 400-mile radius. And then there would be, if there was curvature, there would be drop off. That this isn't some sort of, and there's no equation that I'm actually being shown when told this. I'm being told there's an atmospheric pressure that doesn't allow you to see further, than what was it? Than what could be seen in the video. but at an elevated height, atmospheric pressure changes. So I wasn't even given an equation at the height that they profess to be at. But if they're at the height they profess to be at, you would notice curvature. That's where you would see the curvature at about a 400-mile radius, and that's exactly what was seen there. But no, I'm after that. I'm just told I can't trust video evidence in any capacity.
Hey, Fipto, did you also notice on the Red Bull jump you could see the alleged curvature at ground level?
The alleged curvature at ground level? What do you mean?
Well,
because I'm talking about like not being able to see. Well, hold on, really quick before you continue. Because when I said I noticed curvature, curvature. So if you're using like a fisheye lens, even if you use that, it doesn't delete information. And that's why I asked.
I didn't
Why
say
you see the Atlantic?
Lens
Hold on a second.
Don't
Why do you see the Atlantic? Hold on, man. Hold on. I just haven't finished. I'm saying just let me finish. I'm not straw manning. I'm talking about my position. I'm not talking about yours.
That we're saying that fisheye lenses delete information. No one's ever said that.
Okay, I'm not saying you said that. I'm just making my point even more clear. If you invoke fisheye lens, if you invoke curvature of fisheye lens, okay, that's not my argument.
What do you mean if I invoke it? Full stop. If someone's used a fisheye lens, they've used a fisheye lens. If they have not, they have not. That's not really an argument.
Hold on, man. I'm saying, this is why I said let me finish. Because, okay, when... I don't know why you're asking why I'm
We know they use fisheye lenses. It's there in the side chat.
Wait, hold on, dude. Hold on, man.
So what you're trying to do, before you have a little spaz out,
I can't even
slow down, son.
Can I finish?
You're hyping yourself up for no reason. Inside chat.
No, you're hyping me up.
We posted it for your convenience. Yep, don't have a meltdown. You'll be all right. Inside
you're
chat.
You're going to overtalk me and be a rude schmuck.
For your convenience.
Gaslight me.
Breathe, sunshine. Breathe. It's not going to hurt you. It's just air.
You have no idea. Okay,
inside chat, they show the fisheye lens at ground level. So when you say things like, before you invoke a fisheye lens, fucking oath I'm going to. If they have used a fisheye lens and we notice that, or it's been reported that they have, I am going to say that. So you telling me that I cannot invoke that when they have clearly used it is a insta-fail. So, please continue.
Okay, if I continue further, I'm not engaging with you. You're rude. Like, I couldn't even finish my statement. The point of me saying you're invoking fisheye lens, which you did. You invoked fisheye lens. That's what I mean. When you bring up a fisheye lens as an argument, you're invoking it. That's what I mean. If you hold on. If you invoke fisheye, that's what I meant by you're invoking fisheye lens. Now, fisheye lens do not remove information. That's
I never said it did.
To my argument.
So why do you have to claim that again?
I'm not saying you are. Hold on.
So why did you have to say fisheye lenses don't remove information?
Can I finish? Right. I haven't.
He's lagging like a bastard too. Right, for you to come out and say that fisheye lenses don't remove information, no one has ever, in the history of me being a flat earther, I have never heard anyone say that fisheye lenses remove information. So, for the second time, you don't have to state that. So, it's like you're trying to build some kind of bullshit straw man. Get to your fucking point before I die of old age.
Bro, you sound pretty aggressive.
I'm not engaging with you. I'll engage with another flat. Can I engage with another flat earther other than him?
Nah, they're busy.
Oh my gosh, they're busy. We're all on a Discord call. Everybody's so busy. I'm driving.
Point.
But
less meta. Get to your point.
Okay. The reason I loaded up and I said, hey, fisheye lens do not take out information because notably you see the Atlantic Ocean, which you should be able to see from Albuquerque, New Mexico, if you're above Albuquerque, New Mexico. Why do you see nothing past the Atlantic? And that was my question. Why do you see nothing past the Atlantic Ocean? Because fisheye lens don't remove information.
I never claimed they did. So you're still trying to straw man us by putting that ahead of us.
It's not a straw man. It's not a straw man.
We never claimed that fisheye lenses remove information. Again, that's
I know you never claimed it.
That now.
I've never told you. I've never been told I've never said you claimed it. I've said, look, the apology I'm usually given is atmospheric pressure, which should be less if you're higher. And at the level that we're at, I was just to note out, I was never given a calculation on the atmospheric pressure at the level they would be at and how much you should be able to see. But I did say, hey, according to calculations, if you're above, I think it was 128,000 was it feet? I think it's feet above the Earth.
Kilometers.
Yeah, that high above the Earth, you should only be able to see about 400 miles out. By that standard, you should see exactly what we saw. The Atlantic Ocean and nothing past it because of the curvature.
Using what optic?
I'm just saying, look, this is what we can see.
Huh?
And then, just to note out, it's not with you. It was carried on by somebody else carrying this mantra. We can't trust what we see. We can't trust any sort. And by that standard, we can't do any science. We can't do any science.
Can't verify it.
No, I mean, we are verifying. We empirically, I'm saying, look, it's video recorded. We empirically see this.
So how do we verify the video? Sorry. Hello? How do we verify the video recording?
You're gaslighting.
No, I'm not. I'm asking you.
I'm just being gaslit.
I'm just asking you questions.
No, you're trying to monologue, and that shit ain't happening. So
Yeah. It's a totally reasonable question that Jedi asked.
Just asking how you
again to make sure you hear it. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah,
clarify what you mean too, like, because obviously you don't get it.
You said it was an empirical standard because it was video recorded. What, by you? Did you go up there and video record it so it's empirical to you because you did? It's not going to be empirical unless you verify it yourself.
Does that include your whole Flat Earth playlist where you and a bunch of other Flat Earthers got together and made a playlist?
Yawn, dude. Fuck your meta. Fuck your monologue. Okay? This is really simple. Address what he said. The topic is Flat Earth, not Flat Earthers.
Okay, no. The top, of course, the topic is Flat Earth, but right now we're in the category of talking about what we can trust empirically. We're talking about video evidence, the standard of video
let's
evidence.
talk about video evidence. Let's talk about video evidence. Okay, so I have video evidence of Santa Claus.
Do you?
Yeah.
Okay,
and NORAD tracks them by satellite every Christmas.
Can you show it to me?
The video evidence of Santa? You've never seen a video of Santa?
Oh, yeah. Show me the video evidence of Santa.
Oh, dude, okay.
It drives a Coca-Cola truck around for November, December every year.
Cross-examination.
Oh, now we need to cross-examine it? Oh, no, I thought we just, like, the video was the evidence.
Oh, my gosh.
Why do we need to cross-examine it? What do you think verify means?
Okay, I didn't say we just look at a video. We apply no standards.
He quite happily cross-examined one.
Right, I agree with you. We apply standards. I agree with you. Hold on. I agree with you. We apply standards. What is the standard we're applying when we look at purported images of Earth from space?
Okay, is it consistent with the with the narrative of, hey, if the Earth is spherical, according to certain measurements, according to certain metrics, what should we be able to see at an elevated height? If the Earth is truly the size that, first off, they purport in theory, and I would say it's much less theory. It's
so
more
let's use an example.
actually been.
The blue marble. How do we correlate that with measurements on Earth?
The blue marble, how would it correlate with that? What do you mean?
Yeah, because you said we analyze the images of Earth from space by comparing them to measurements on the Earth, right? Is that what you meant?
I don't think somebody got down to the. Well, actually, no. I think measurements were made based on two locations, their distance, and then running a measurement from further cities. I forget the whole methodology that was used to verify the calculation of the Earth's size, but
How
yeah,
can you tell the size of the
I'm
Earth from
saying
a
based
photo,
on the
though?
theory, because of elevated height. If we do a calculation of elevated height and what we see, and as far as the cutoff, where we ought not see anymore in the imagery, we should be able to come to the conclusion, yeah, you can't see past the 400 miles according to the calculations run. That was the whole point of my argument was, hey, you don't see past the Atlantic Ocean. You don't see anything else.
Yeah, you shouldn't.
Why
Why
is
would
that?
you?
The
Why
reason
would
the reason you
Why would you see across the Atlantic Ocean? Are you high?
Okay, we're talking about at 128,000 feet in the air.
Why would you see across the Atlantic Ocean?
If the Earth was flat, I'm sorry, why wouldn't I
What's the
see across the
basis
Atlantic Ocean?
So your prediction is, if the Earth was flat, if I went to 128,000 feet,
It's not a prediction.
it is a prediction. It is a prediction.
That's it's a logical conclusion.
No, it's a prediction. You're making a prediction of what you would see. Yeah, you were making a prediction.
No, it's not a prediction. It's talking about the angle in which the Earth actually curves and how much you should be able to see at 128,000 feet in the air.
How much you should be able to see
when you
is a
say
prediction.
When you yeah, it's a prediction, dude.
Okay,
There ain't no way around it.
Yeah, when I say should, yeah, ought to be able to see. That's what I mean by should.
Also a prediction.
Okay. Yeah.
Do you not know
the
English
calculation,
very well?
you ought to be able to see 400 miles out. That's relatively exactly what we see here.
Can you show us that?
Yeah, you can run a measurement. You can run a measurement, above Albuquerque, New Mexico, and measure out according to. And just to note out, I mean, of course, you're probably not going to trust it because it's going to be a scientist somewhere in a lab.
Okay. What are you talking about?
Heard all of it, and you're already
are you talking
saying
about a specific event? Are you talking about a specific event?
Any
like
event?
The bomb, are you talking about the Baumgartner jump? Is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
Yeah, we're talking about the Red Bull jump. Yeah, I'm saying at 21 seconds, you can see they're above Albuquerque, New Mexico, and you are unable to see across the Atlantic Ocean. Why? And I asked a question at that elevation. If the Earth is flat, why would you not be able to see past the Atlantic Ocean?
The Atlantic Ocean.
Oh, sorry, I meant Pacific. Sorry, I've been saying Atlantic the whole time. The Pacific Ocean.
Okay, so that's like what, 8,000 miles?
That's 8,000 miles, according to you?
Across the Pacific? Yeah, it's like 8,000 miles.
No. I'm saying you're unable to see past.
Yeah, you would have to see.
You see part of the Pacific across after California. You're unable to see past that.
What do you think that is?
You think it's because of the Jews?
Well, according to what the consensus is about the curvature of the Earth, what you ought to be able to see at 128,000 miles elevation, it should be about 400 miles. That's been the claim. Hey, I can't. I
asked
can't
this
see,
earlier.
Where is the rest? Why can't I see over the rest of the Pacific at this? Hold on. Why can't I see over the Pacific past this? No, stop it, dude. Why can't I see past the Pacific? Like, why can't I see any other land? Nothing else.
Same question five times.
The reason I asked multiple times is because I'm
though.
Okay, what would be the flat Earth response as far as why I can't see even relatively close to the 8,000 miles?
Yeah, so we're going to give you an answer if you stop fucking talking.
No, you're just over talking me and then gaslighting me.
Oh my God, he's so
I just said I'm going to give you an answer when you stop talking. Are you done talking?
Yes. Okay. What's the answer? How far should I be able to see?
Talking again, dude. You're hilarious, bro. Are you serious?
I'm just being very clear. I just want this answered at 120,000.
No, you don't. If you wanted the answer, you would shut the fuck up. I'm waiting because I'm not going to start talking and have you interrupt me. So I'm waiting till you get it all out of your system so I can talk.
Okay, I'll get it all out of my system. At 128,000 feet in the air, how far can I be able to?
You're going to repeat yourself? You should see 400 miles, and why should you see all the way across the Pacific? We heard you.
You're hearing gaslight the whole time, and then prove me right.
You're repeating what you said. You've said it 5 times.
Yeah, you know why I've said it multiple times? Because somehow we don't actually answer the question. and we get off into some other week,
I
and then
wonder
you
why
guys
I'm not
continue
answering
to
the
over talk
question.
me.
Maybe it's because you're talking.
Okay, sure. Answer the question.
Okay, so how far is the other side of the Pacific away from Felix Baumgartner's site, 128,000 feet? How far is it?
You should be able to tell me.
It's your claim. It's your claim, dude, that you should see all the way across the Pacific. That's your claim.
No, okay. No, so you're not actually answering my question.
I don't know. Listen.
Do you know? Okay, what question did I
all the way
ask?
across the Pacific. In order to make the calculation on what you should or shouldn't see, I need to know how far it is. So tell me, how far is it? Is it 6,000 miles? Is it 8,000 miles? Is it 4,000 miles?
Oh, I'm going to put some money down. He doesn't know.
He's looking it up.
Scared him.
It doesn't matter what he says. Because I have to do the calculation on what the angular size is of the land on the other side of the Pacific, and what the incident angle is that you're looking at it from. And then I have to calculate how much optical absorption there is of light for 8,000 miles to the fucking camera. And whether light from land 8,000 miles away would ever even reach the camera in the first place. But you didn't think that far ahead, did you?
Definitely not. See, this is why we get quite flustered, because we're at the end of the fucking road waiting for you with all the goodies that you want. You're just ambling trying to fucking get there, and we're waving you away, but you're just not following directions very well. It's like, hello?
So there's something called an optical extinction coefficient, and that's how much the air absorbs light over distance. So at sea level, in the cleanest possible air, the furthest you can see is 276 kilometers. Flat or globe, it wouldn't matter. So now you're saying now you're saying fucking 6,000 miles, 8,000 miles, wherever. I'm nearly 100% sure if you punch that calculation and use the Rayleigh model of the air, that there's no way reflected light off some fucking land in China is going to reach the fucking camera.
What's the ship that I got? Where's that bar?
Hey, sorry, I was actually misinformed. I just rewatched the video. So I think it's actually about 24 seconds in, 23, 24 in between that. You should be able to find it. You actually can't even see the Pacific Ocean.
What camera are we looking at?
We're looking through their fisheye lens camera.
Why?
Because we already came to the conclusion fisheye lens cameras do not remove information. If anything, they could distort them. But you'd have to make the argument. Where's the Pacific? Like that would be my question. Where's the Pacific? If there is no curvature, where is the Pacific?
Hey, FitPro, just breathe for a second. If you're going to come in here and talk about videos, at least post it up so people can go, oh, that's the one you're using.
Everybody knows this. It's the Red Bull Space Jump commercial.
Yeah,
it's not
awesome.
ambiguous.
I get online and there's about 20
I'll
of
post
them.
the photo. I'll post it.
See, everybody does.
There's only
my
one.
friend, no, you want to keep talking? Everybody does know this. This is why I said we're at the road waiting for you. There's multiple cameras in the Felix Baumgartner jump. Hello? Thank you. So there's multiple cameras in the Felix Baumgartner jump. You've decided to pick the GoPro one. Okay, that's awesome stuff. You understand that this was debunked by the Lord Neil deGrasse Tyson himself, right?
It was.
You don't see the curvature of the Earth. That stuff is flat.
Yeah, but he's not talking about the visual, like left to right curve.
Yeah, he's talking about how much you should see.
Yeah, how much of the surface you can see.
Well, if we're making predictions about how much we should see over the curvature of the Earth, then the information is going to be relevant that Indio pointed out. We're going to need that.
I'm asking the mileage. I should be able to see if the Earth was a flat model at 128,000 feet in the air.
That depends on the meteorological conditions. It depends on the meteorological conditions. So if you go on your local weather, they have temperature, humidity. They also have a thing called visibility. They also have a thing called visibility that determines how far you can see. Go look up yours right now. I bet you it's about 10 miles, maybe 20.
Go ahead.
And you're talking about seeing 8,000 miles across the Pacific, which is like laughable.
So you're saying in the Red Bull commercial you can only see 10 miles? Is that the claim?
No. Hold on, bro. You asked me a question. That means I answer it, not you, right? Okay. You asked me a question. So that's the sea level visibility. The elevated visibility is going to be slightly different. For that, you would probably need the weather report from air traffic control. But those visibilities might be 100 miles.
But when it comes to Albuquerque, New Mexico, you would agree that it's pretty clear out there.
Yeah, but that doesn't matter. The air itself absorbs light.
Okay, so how far should I be able to see? I mean, I'm asking for the flat Earth answer to like the
300
question.
Miles. 300
miles. So less than if there were curvature.
It should be 300 miles with or without curvature. Depends on how much air there is. That's the determining factor. What's the density of the air?
That's what I was at. Well, that's what was asked about. The atmospheric pressure. Technically speaking, you can actually see at 120. That's what you're talking about, atmospheric pressure. I did say that this was the answer.
No, I'm not talking about atmospheric pressure. Okay. There's no atmosphere because you don't have a sphere.
Gases only take the shape of that container.
How about this? Air pressure. Is that fine? Because the last time I came in here, somebody gave me the answer atmospheric pressure at that elevation. Okay. There's way less at that elevation.
Okay.
I mean, sorry. If you're going to vindicate your position, I mean, like, is there some
hold on, before you go on, is the land at that elevation?
What?
The land that you're trying to look at on the other side of the Pacific Ocean, is it at that elevation?
No, you can't see on the other side. You can't even see past California.
Yeah. Why? Is California at that elevation? So the pressure the pressure has a value at that elevation. But if you're looking down, you're looking through thicker air, right? And you're looking at light, so the light from the sun reflects off the ground, it bounces off the ground and goes to the camera or your eye. But it still has to travel through that thicker air. You don't just get to be at a higher elevation. If you're looking across, right? If I was looking from airplane to airplane, that would be fine. Then you could say, hey, you were all at this freaking higher elevation. That sea level calculation is not applicable. But that's not the case. The case is we're looking down to sea level.
Wait, so you're saying at that point, wherever the sun touches, I should be able to see.
What?
Yeah, you said the light has to be able to travel through and then come back up. I mean, like any time there's daylight somewhere, I should be able to see.
When you see something in daytime, is that light that originated at the sun?
Yeah.
Okay, so all the light you see, of all the objects you see, is reflected sunlight.
Okay.
Okay. Now you want that sunlight to reflect off the ground and up into the sky to 128,000 feet. Okay, it has to travel through that thicker air to get there.
Okay, and I'm sorry.
So that thicker air absorbs light.
Yeah.
Just saying, oh, I'm in denser air. Yeah, you're in denser air, but that's your optical path isn't in the denser air.
Okay, so are you saying that, like, according to your position is unable? You wouldn't be able to see a flat Earth. It would be unfalsifiable.
No, you can measure a flat Earth. It's not unfalsifiable. You can go out and do some measurements.
I'm talking about visual.
Oh, it looks flat. You just chose a GoPro lens.
Is looking at things subjective or objective?
Looking at things, actually, well, to an extent, subjective, but it's an assumption that, and I said to an extent because what you're looking at is actually objective. So it's you looking at the object, making it is actually objective. It's autonomous from you. It doesn't matter about your feelings. It's there.
Yeah.
But I mean, like if you start rejecting people being able to see things and whatnot, I can't even do the measurements that you're proposing. I ought to be able to do.
What? Look, I'm not following your train of logic.
According to your presuppositions, if you dispute empirical analyzation,
what measurements are you trying to do?
What are you talking about? You're fucking on some fucking other shit, dude. I'm not talking about anything you're talking about. Bro, it's really simple. Evaluation of what you're seeing, like in making like claims or descriptions about, oh, this looks flat, this looks curved. Those are subjective evaluations, regardless. They are.
I mean, if you use a ruler,
the existence, whether you see
objective?
something or not. The only thing objective about vision is, do I see that or do I not see that? But
that's why you think like plumb lines and rulers.
That's either true or false statement about you personally. Yes, I see that fucking mountain. No, I don't see that mountain. That's objective. But evaluation about what its true shape is from looking at it, that's subjective. But measuring is objective. That's why we say you can measure the Earth. It is falsifiable because you could just measure curve, and then we wouldn't be here no more.
Okay, yeah, I mean, and that's why I brought up and just to note out, just because I do not have a ruler put onto the I guess the fisheye lens camera, it doesn't mean or dispute the fact that there's certain information that at a 128,000 elevated height that I shouldn't be able to see.
Okay, so you're just saying that based upon your ignorance, dude. You're just saying shit based upon ignorance. It's really that simple. It's like, listen, light doesn't travel forever, contrary to the nonsense